I had not seen this movie when we made the Sins video.
Right.
This was one that you guys put together.
That's right. You got to take all the heat for it.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Huzzah!
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly. I actually can't help myself but laugh at that. Like, I don't want to laugh. It's like a beer commercial, right?
Yeah, it's Bud Light.
I don't want to laugh at beer commercials. I really don't. But that one gets me.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I'm not on this train. I'm not on this dilly dilly train. The first time I saw that commercial, I was like, oh, fuck me.
It's something about, certain syllables put together are just funny. I think.
Yeah. It's silly.
Yeah.
Well, and I was fine
Dilly
with it
silly.
just being silly, but I was like, oh man, is this gonna take off? And then I saw a new ad like a week later. I was like, this took off.
Yeah. It's like the Budweiser frogs.
Yeah.
We're going to see a few more.
Funny the
dilly
first
dillies.
time.
But
Well,
then,
see, I didn't even know there's more than one. I think I've only seen one.
oh, I've seen there's at least 6 or 7 now.
Of the Dilly Dillies?
Yeah.
Really?
There's the one now that they have like a magician that's in like a Merlin type or whatever, and the king wants him to like change everything into Bud Light.
Yeah.
And,
It's like, I can make you immortal. He's like, no, just the Bud Light.
yeah. There's like 2 with the magician, and then there's like another one where everybody's like in a torture chamber or something like that. Yeah, there's like a million.
Oh man, I think I've only seen the one.
Oh, my
I don't
God.
pay that much attention when commercials come on, and I think those commercials probably are only running on sports.
And then I've also heard just people outside of just watching TV just say it.
Oh, really?
That's when I knew it had hit the public consciousness.
I
in a way
retract my
that I
dilly
was-
dilly.
that I was not expecting.
Man, remember when everybody was going around doing "I love you, man"? Not the movie,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah,
the
yeah.
beer
Yeah, yeah.
commercial.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anyway, we have other things to discuss today. Besides,
We're not even ranting yet.
We're not ranting.
we
yet,
are kind of.
kind of ranting. Yes.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I'm as mad as hell.
You've never seen me very upset.
Lord Jesus! Lord Jesus!
We people seem to appreciate this new format so
Yeah.
far. I've had multiple people say that they liked the off-topic rants, but I did see one person say they didn't like the off-topic rant.
I got them covered this week. I got a movie-related rant. Nice.
I do too. And I think essentially we do want to have movie rants.
Mhm.
But that week, that was just, we had just come off of that first one. And, it's been just 1 week since, and I had not seen anything new. I hadn't seen anything that bothered me, anything. And I was like, all right, well, we'll talk about sports or whatever. And, it's endangering the audience.
I like that today, though, before we've even really gone very far, we've already kind of ranted about tiny houses and dilly dilly.
Yes.
So, like maybe rant will become our thing.
Well, I've got a commercial-related rant, if you want me to
go
start.
for it.
So speaking of commercials that have been airing on sports, because you can't get around the commercials. If you're on demand, you're watching a movie or something like that that's on IFC or something like that, typically you can fast forward through the commercials. If you're watching it online, you can typically go do something else or something like that. But you're beholden in sports because if you leave during a commercial, the game may come back on and you have missed something.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll go to the bathroom thinking I got a whole commercial break, and I'll come back and the score is different.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
They overturned a touchdown while I was peeing.
Well, and the worst offender is hockey. Because, in
Oh,
a second,
my
it could be 0-0 for whatever. I don't want this to be a sports one. But, okay, so I'm beholden to this, and there's these commercials Nationwide is doing, both on YouTube and on the sports broadcasts. And it's Tori Kelly, who's an American singer, who's a terrific singer, by the way. And she's plucking the guitar, and she's doing this nice, like, sentimental ballad about Nationwide. And I'm like, fuck you, Toy Code. Fuck you, because nobody is this emotional about fucking nationwide insurance. And it started with Brad Paisley doing it, and we all saw it on YouTube. And it was one of those like unskippable ads for 15 seconds or whatever it was.
Well, and I couldn't even sing that song to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was an R&B singer that did one.
But yeah, anyway, I can't stand it anymore. Stop it. They started doing like a humorous take on it with Brad Paisley and Peyton Manning, where
Which
he's
I
like,
can't stand.
here's what we're going to do. I'll tell you to change it up. Okay, we're almost there. Fuck that too.
Yeah.
But the self-serious nature of like, this is going to emotionally connect to people because one of their favorite singers is playing guitar and like wistfully looking out into the sun. Fuck that.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, well, the serious insurance commercials are terrible.
They are.
Except for that one that made me cry with the little girl who like scrapes her knee and her dad comes and comforts her, and then the next thing you see she's like 9.
Oh,
and
yeah.
somebody steals her bike or something.
Yeah.
And it's basically throughout her life, her and her dad's relationship, and it ends with like their wedding dance, and this time she's wiping the tears away from his face.
Yeah.
That one kind of gets me.
I get you.
Anyway, you have to be really creative if you're going to go for a serious insurance ad. Like if you're going to go for a serious insurance ad, you might as well just say, do you want to die? Do you want to lose your car forever?
Well, and then you don't want to get too serious, because wasn't it Nationwide that had that Super Bowl commercial? Where
Oh,
the
the
kid
dead
died?
dad? Was it
The kid died.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know, like he's on the bus and he coughs and there's like all these animated germs that fucking come out.
God, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
I
this
missed
was
This was last year, wasn't it?
No, this was 2 or 3 years ago. Where I believe it was Nationwide. It was some insurance company.
That's the other problem, is that they all run together.
Yeah. And it was this kid. It was this kid who died.
Fucking died. Super Bowl commercial.
In a Super Bowl commercial. Like when you first see him cough on the bus and all those little animated germs come out, you're like, what the fuck just happened? And then he dies. And of course, this was definitely the Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a meme later when they didn't hand it off to Marshawn Lynch. And he was like, I would have handed it off to Marshawn Lynch, but I died. With that kid's picture, of course.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, my God.
Oh, anyway, I hate those commercials.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that commercial, it's worth looking up, because this was during the Super Bowl. It was insane.
Well, there's a couple of them aren't even trying anymore.
No.
Because they'll just put something like whoever's doing the one with the iced tea lemonade stand.
Oh, yeah.
They just do something stupid and incongruous, and then at the end they go, stupid and incongruous? Go to Geico or whatever. Like, it's like there's no connection whatsoever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I at least like the ones that J.K. Simmons does for farmers.
Yeah.
Because I like at least the current batch they're running, where you get to see like a staged reenactment of some crazy moose accident or something.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to like they're in a museum and we covered it. And I bet you if you did some research, you might find out some of those are true.
Yeah.
Like,
because he like shouts out like a date, like December 5th, 1992.
yeah. Now you could probably make some of that stuff up, but I think it's actually a more powerful advertisement if it's true, because it's some crazy shit and you don't know what's going to happen in your life. So anyway,
I'm going to research that.
do you want to die, Barrett?
Get some fucking insurance.
Get some insurance. Well, no, I agree with your rant. My rant today is about a trend in trailers. Now, there's already too many trailers. Fucking 3 trailers for most films, international trailers, TV spots.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're in the midst of the glory age of the teaser trailer, the worst offender of which is the kind that doesn't show you anything. It's just an announcement. But now online, any tentpole movie's first trailer, it starts with like a 3-second clip from the trailer, a tease, and then the logo.
Yeah.
And then the trailer, including the shit that I just saw in the first 3 seconds. Like for the Jurassic World sequel, like it was the money shot of Chris Pratt running away from volcanic ash, because you can do that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that shot's later on in the trailer. What's the point?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Who are the fucking ad wizards that said, you know what we need to do? People are not going to watch a 1.5-minute long trailer. They are not stoked enough for Infinity War. We have to start the trailer with the money shot. And they'll be like, oh, God!
In theory, I can see why they would do it. However, okay, so like on a skip ad on YouTube or whatever, you want to have something, you don't want to have just that green, the following preview is approved for all audiences and all that, because
Sure.
most of the time people are just going to skip it right as soon as they, because they're never going to see one frame of that trailer or whatever.
And I'm sure that's where it started.
Now, we don't see those trailers though. The trailers that you're talking about, we don't see that one with the 3 seconds or whatever
As an ad on YouTube. Right. It's like an upload to YouTube.
So that's why it doesn't make much sense. It would make sense to do it if it was sort of a attention grabber.
Or if it was an autoplay ad.
Right.
I get that. Give them a couple frames and maybe we'll win them over.
Yeah, but you're going to watch the trailer.
I'm
like
talking,
you're actively
and this is
seeking out.
Only seems to be done like they're not doing that for the trailer for Lady Bird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it for these tentpole.
That'd be awesome.
These tentpole big budget films. So Infinity War's trailer was going to get viewed 15 million times the first day, or 100 million times, however the fuck many it was, regardless of whether or not it had a 3-second teaser in front of it.
Right. Yep.
No one clicked play on the Infinity War trailer and saw a Marvel logo and went, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, that's the thing.
What is this?
And it drives me crazy because it is literally 3 seconds I will never get back.
Mhm.
And I know that probably, and this is what we're sort of getting to, was that I don't know if this has anything to do with the YouTube Creator Handbook or what, but I know that they're like grab your viewer's attention in the first 15 seconds and all that. And I'm wondering if that was some sort of just like, well, we got to do that then, or whatever, even though people are already actively clicking on your trailer because it says Avengers Infinity War on it.
And it's multiple studios are doing it. There's clearly some kind of industry thinking, and it just it boggles my mind. It boggles my mind almost as much as digital posters.
Yeah.
It's a picture of a poster. It's not a poster. Don't
Well,
call it a poster.
If you're going to YouTube to seek out a trailer, you're going to get a pre-roll ad even before you get that 3 seconds in front of the trailer.
Yeah, you're almost certainly going to get a 15-second unskippable ad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And it's like, I'm not so mad about it that I'm like screaming and cussing. It's not that ranty, but it is really pestering.
Yeah.
And the way my brain works, I just want to understand shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my neighbor will come out and start his van an hour and a half before he actually comes out and gets in it and drives away.
Really?
And I have invented dozens of reasons why this might be.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few leading theories. But my brain just wants to understand the weirdness I'm seeing. And in this instance, with these teasers in front of trailers that are literally part of the trailer, I cannot understand that, and I cannot tolerate it.
You are absolutely right, though. That 3-second thing throws me off all the time, because I'll see it, and then the trailer starts, and then you see it again. You're like, "Whoa! Didn't I just see that? That was part of it. That was a preview of the preview."
Yes.
Yeah.
On the preview itself.
On the preview.
Yeah. It's like our attention spans have not gotten that short.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't impart any information that I'm not going to see in 2 seconds anyway.
Yeah. Now, I got a bonus rant. I'll make it really quick.
All right.
You know how I like my Friends reruns?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what Spike started doing the other day?
The network?
The network.
Uh-huh.
They're one of the channels. Spike, TBS, Nick at Night, I think sometimes MTV. There's like 3 or 4 channels that play Friends reruns. Instead of 30 minutes, they're running an episode of Friends in a 40-minute block.
Oh, whoa.
And filling in extra ads.
Mm.
Like, I was flipping between Friends and one of the NFL games, I think the Buffalo game, that I barely cared about. And I thought I had flipped to the game and forgotten because the commercial break took too long, and I thought I had just caught 2 different channels' commercial breaks. Nope, I was on the Friends channel. It was like an 8.5-minute commercial break.
Jesus.
Whoa.
Why would you even do that in this day and age where there's so much content that people are going to flip off as soon as they see a commercial?
I can go to goddamn Netflix and watch every episode of Friends anytime I want in succession.
Yeah.
And then none of those are edited.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that just really bothered me. I only saw this like 2 days ago, and I want to send them an angry letter.
It's funny. They did this one thing at one time where they would, of course, they'd cut out the the opening intro or whatever, so that would be an extra ad that they could throw in.
Yep.
But then there was also the speeding up
Of the credits?
The credits is the other thing. That's the other thing that they sort of cut. But the entire episode is sped up.
Oh, by like 104%.
Yeah, so enough that you can still tell that it's you don't see that it's really sped up, but like somebody went through a whole like thing, and like
we may know a thing or two about that.
we do.
It's funny because people actually listen to us on like 1.5 times speed so that they can get through it quicker. I think Aaron Dicer does that.
Well, I could not. God, what does my voice sound like when you do that?
It's weird. I've tried it
because at least if you're doing it in Premiere or something, you have the option to keep the audio at the same pitch, which you don't always need to do. But with YouTube, if you speed it up, that's going to make me chipmunk, right?
Yeah. I'm so used to hearing all of our voices for so many hours that when I sped it up, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Believe me, there have been some times where we've had some ranty sins where I'm like, I'm going to speed up Jeremy's narration. And then I do it just the slightest bit, and I'm like, nope, can't do it. Can't fucking do it. Okay, what's going to happen here? Blah, 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 blah.
All right, what's your rant topic?
I'm wondering where Hollywood got the idea that movie nerds talk the way that they do in movies.
Oh yeah.
I was watching a rare bird the other day called "I Love You, Beth Cooper."
Oh, I've seen this movie.
It's Hayden Panettiere and Paul Rust, who's in that Netflix show called Love, is in it. I saw this movie back in theaters, believe it or not. But there's a movie nerd that Paul Rust's best friend is in this movie. And every time he talks about a movie, he has to name the movie, the director, and the year.
Oh, fuck that.
So it's like Brian De Palma, Scarface. And then he said 1982, which is verifiably wrong. But
how does that shit happen?
I don't get that either.
Oh, Jesus.
But like all through this movie, he's saying stuff like that. Like, this movie, the director, and the year. And I'm like, I understand that you got to figure out a way to make this guy a nerd, like a mega nerd or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not even human.
No.
I mean, nobody does that. I mean,
not even us.
No, yeah, considering that I'm a fucking movie nerd, I've never once been like, Scream, Wes Craven, 1996. Never have once said.
Although they do that in that.
That's what I'm about to say. In Scream, you have Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy, who does that all the way through there. Like they're asking, was it Matthew Lillard who's like, when are we going to get to see Jamie's breasts?
Yeah.
And he's like, not until Trading Places in 1983.
Yeah.
So like nobody says it. And it's even worse in Scream 2 because Mickey is the one who does it in that. Yeah. And he's like, because when Jerry O'Connell does the bullshit like singing for Nev Campbell in the cafeteria thing, he's like, Tom Cruise, Top Gun, 1986.
Yeah,
and you're like, fuck you!
they even put Jamie Kennedy in the second one in that film class filled with people like that.
Yes.
Who take film more seriously than I think even real people do.
Yeah, well, I think they're wrong too,
well,
right?
And they're wrong about the aliens quote.
Yeah.
He's like, stay away from your, he's like, get away from her, you bitch. And then Randy's like, I believe the quote is called stay away from you, you bitch. This is a film class, right? And I'm like, fuck you, Randy. You didn't get it right. You corrected the wrong thing. Fucking dick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seems to happen quite a bit. Whenever there's a movie nerd, they have to go through that whole thing. You can just simply have him have a lot of knowledge about movies, and that pretty much tells you all you need to know.
Do we have, you may not be prepared for this, so I'm sorry if I'm throwing you a curveball. Do we have any examples we can think of a good portrayal of a movie nerd?
I don't know of one right off the top of my head.
I mean, there's a bunch of characters I could make a case for, but they're not being portrayed as, like, I could make a case for Clarence Worley in True Romance, the way he talks about kung fu movies. And coming from Tarantino and everything, he would know how a movie nerd would talk and everything. Same thing would go for Travolta and Get Shorty, even though that wasn't Tarantino or anything, but Travolta knows a lot about movies too, but he's not sitting there going, Touch of Evil, Orson Welles, 1956.
And even Travolta in Pulp Fiction, where he's like, that is Jane Mansfield. That is Mamie Van Dorn.
Right.
I don't see who was
Marilyn Monroe.
I don't see. That's Monroe. Right. Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't get it. But yeah, Tarantino is really the only one that can handle it, because the way that we talk, and obviously people have listened to us talk for however long, but the way that we talk in real life is like, Rushmore, and somebody will say like, when did that come out? Was that 98 and 99? And of course, Chris will tell you.
Yeah.
But like, that's how you talk. You don't list off to IMDb
Right.
as in normal conversation.
By the way, I did what the movie did and fucked up the Touch of Evil year, by the way. 1958 is when that came out, by the way. But anyway.
Shut it down.
Right. Shut it down. But yeah, I just don't. And I think that probably goes for most nerds that they put in movies. But like when it's a specific thing that they're good at, they're always doing stuff like that, but like it seems more egregious in the movie thing because it's just it's random facts and like director year is like the way that we express their nerdism, instead of just knowing stuff about movies.
No, the dialogue is. I'll tell you another example is in Righteous Kill when because they're both apparently like baseball nerds, Pacino and De Niro. And like to solve the killer's like identity or whatever, they're like, that's what Ted Williams' average was in 1968 or whatever it was.
Oh wow! Baird is losing it.
I can't stop making Righteous Kill it.
I know. This is like the third time we've talked about it recently.
Such a great movie. We've talked about it before, right? How awesome that movie is.
Yes, it's a great movie.
Yes, it is.
Oh my god!
Well, you can't go wrong with De Niro and Pacino.
No, there's definitely no way that you could go wrong.
By the way, since you brought up Tarantino, it sounds like this Tarantino Star Trek R-rated movie is going to actually move forward.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of Trek fans on social media who are like, that's not Trek.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, and many of these people said this about J.J. Abrams' Trek,
Yeah.
because at least the television series was always more about social issues than it was about action. Although that cast went on to make movies that were action. I just wanted to tell everybody out there, it's not your Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
You don't own it.
Yeah.
The guy who did own it, he dead.
Yes.
So it can be whatever it can be. Things evolve. For the love of God, won't you get sick of it if it's the same thing over and over again?
Yeah.
There's a reason Star Trek The Next Generation went off the air. People stopped watching it.
Yeah.
Isn't this sort of what we're running into with all of this stuff, though? I mean, obviously with Star Wars, we had the Star Wars base come out and say, this isn't Star Wars. We were talking about James Bond again last week, and we're like, people were like, oh, James Bond looks like this, and blah, 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 and then they go and see it anyway. If it has the name and it looks good, they're going to go see it. Mm-hmm. This is why you should never be resistant to change. And they can always make this a one-off. I'm fine with them doing one-off things like that. That's why, like, what was it, the Scorsese Batman is supposed to be like that?
Yeah, the Joker or whatever.
Yeah. The I think you said you weren't for that, but
no, because I don't think the Joker needs an origin story.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think I like the idea of even if this isn't a one-off. But I mean, I would like the idea of a one-off where you just say this is its own separate entity or whatever. We'll see how it goes. If people like it, we'll make more. But
maybe that's just the thing Trek needs to, get infused with a little life.
And what? You don't think that Tarantino isn't going to write something that has like some sort of like socially conscious stuff in it?
I mean, he's a fan of Trek enough that there's going to be that in there. And maybe there'll be more action, and maybe there'll be more cussing, and maybe there'll be some nudity. But I don't think there's anything about Trek that says it can't involve those things ever.
No. In fact, that's why I talked to last episode about the USS Callister episode in Black Mirror. That's what made it so interesting as a moderate Trek fan. Like, I ate that episode up because it was subversive and it was a new take, even using very Trekky stuff. In fact, all different phases of Trek. And it was hilarious. It was profane. It was, that's the kind of stuff that I'm interested. I'm fine with regular canon Trek too. But take it in new directions. That's the whole point of the series.
Yeah. It's almost like back when they announced Next Generation, I guarantee you 50% of Trek fans were like, that's not Trek.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Kirk. Enterprise did not look like that. And, went on to be probably the best of all the series they've ever done. So it's not your Trek.
Yep.
Get over it. Let Tarantino make something awesome. God damn it.
Yeah. And I mean, and again, you don't even have, it doesn't even have to be, I mean, you don't have to sit there and go, this is canon or anything. Just say, this is a new look at it.
Yeah.
This is something I've always wanted, by the way. Somebody like Tarantino to take care of a Star Trek or something, because Because it's going to be different. And it may, and who knows, it may suck ass, but who cares? I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see something different. Have there been 5 Transformers? There have been 5 Transformers movies.
Yes. Yeah.
They're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They're not showing me anything new. So maybe, if Source says he wanted to say, hey, I'd like to try my hand at Transformers 6.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking let him do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if it comes with an R rating. Let's breathe some new life. God damn.
Yeah, he's probably not going to put in a scene where you go over rape laws.
Probably not.
Statutory rape laws.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, they're different in space. Oh, wait, we're talking about Transformers.
That's right.
So I jumped right back to Star Trek.
Oh, my God. Do we want to go into some news?
Let's do some news.
News on the mark.
Instead of one big shot controlling all the media, now there's 1,000 freaks xeroxing their worthless opinions.
Ooh, has there been any news?
There's been some news.
Oh, let's hear it.
All right. I'm going to try not to get into too much into the current political landscape. But as everyone knows, after the Golden Globes, Oprah made a fucking speech when accepting the Cecil B. DeMille.
It's a good speech.
Yeah.
It's a great speech.
I feel like people overreacted a little bit.
There have been, 74 speeches before then accepting the Cecil B. DeMille Award. A lot of them have been very good.
Yeah.
The Denzel acceptance speech not too long ago was really, really good. She made a great speech, but suddenly she's running for fucking president.
Well, I mean, and this is why I'm glad that I saw this on your list, because I've been thinking about this a lot. Everything's on the table.
Yeah.
Trump changed everything by winning, because he was, by all accounts, a year before winning, someone that neither side thought stood any chance of winning.
Right.
Even the Republicans, who love him now. And then he won.
Yeah.
And so now, of course, the first step in this direction was Ronald Reagan, a former actor, who at his time... Yeah, the actor.
Who's vice president? Jerry Lewis?
And so when The Rock says shit about maybe running for president, when Clooney talks about how he's given it thought, when Oprah says she's intrigued by it, nothing is off the table. Fuck, Mickey Rourke could run for president, and I'm not going to be able to tell you there's no chance he can win.
He's definitely a Green Party candidate.
It is now a no-holds-barred game. The game has changed completely.
Yeah.
And for 200 plus years, our country has believed... I'm sorry, I'm stealing your news.
No, go ahead.
Our country has believed, well, the people who need to run the country are the people who have run states or run towns or have been senators or what have you. And we'll never elect an athlete or an actor. Anything. Alex Rodriguez could run for president.
Yeah.
The steroid thing would not be scandal enough to keep him from winning. Because guess what? Trump had way more scandals.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued about where we're going to go. If Oprah runs for president, see, there's a part of me, I like chaos.
Yeah.
And we've certainly had some chaos.
Yeah, you've already got it. You've already got it right now.
But, we're idiocracy, man.
This is where we are as a nation. We're already in chaos. Where if you make an acceptance speech that's good, that's even excellent. It's a fucking acceptance speech for her contributions to film and media.
Yeah.
It does not mean that she should be a head of state. Ronald Reagan was a governor before he was the president. Like, she has no political experience whatsoever, but this is how starved we are for some sort of opposite to where, yes, she could make a terrific president. She could make a terrific movie president, but she has no political experience whatsoever. So it's like, man,
but neither does the guy that's there now.
Like it was like this Tarantino thing. You heard about the Tarantino Star Trek thing, and that's an interesting rumor. 3 days later, it's fucking happening.
Yep.
And it's like, what just happened? Like this pace is untenable.
Yeah.
And the same thing, and the TV wasn't even off from the Golden Globes, and people are just tweet storming about how great Oprah would be as president based on this speech.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Exactly.
This has turned into a rant, but it was obviously a big news item.
I think people are poised during an event like the Golden Globes, where we got millions of viewers. I think they're poised to be moved.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of those shows are unmoving, right?
Yeah.
So when Natalie Portman says, here are your all-male nominees for Best Director, it gets more like oh, girl, you did not.
Yeah, exactly.
When really she stated a fact, and it was I thought it was more of a joke than a bar, but and she's pointing out the obvious.
Yeah.
She can't do anything about it. poor Ron Howard. She could have at least tipped him off that it was coming.
That was like a George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Yeah.
But my point is, we treated it like that, but it was nowhere near that
Right. Yeah,
unexpected or shocking.
Yeah.
And so I think Oprah got way more. I watched the speech. I was not watching the show. But people were talking about, I just went to church, and I'm like, I got to see what she said, and I'm like, well, a lot of wholesome, positive message stuff.
Exactly.
Like, you would have thought she was up there going, you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. Oprah for president, not unrealistic.
Yeah,
Ronald McDonald for president, not unrealistic.
Yeah, and just to tie it up, like there was just there's such an overreaction to this Golden Globes. I know there was a lot of loaded stuff in there with the Me Too thing, the Time's Up movement, and all that stuff. But it's like, people, if Sam Rockwell didn't specifically mention this, then, he's not on our side. He didn't go far enough and stuff like that. The reaction to this ceremony, both with Oprah and with the Time's Up stuff, and they didn't do enough to get the message across. It's like, everybody calm down a second. It's a fucking it's not even the Oscars.
Right.
All right? It's fun. But,
yeah, just like Warren Beatty said, the Golden Globes are fun, the Oscars are business.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one. Good news. I got
good news.
Do you have a
I'm
news
spreading
item?
the good news.
Not so much news. I was looking just before, we did our answers over email and everything like that, and there wasn't much that I could pick on. Like, a lot of the news is coming out of the Golden Globes, like what Barrett was talking about there. But I saw a thing in the Hollywood Reporter that was kind of interesting because it took 6 big cinematographers and asked them a bunch of questions about just a wide variety of topics. One of them was happy accidents on set and stuff like that. It was really interesting to hear. The guy who did the There Will Be Blood cinematography was talking about how, like, they wanted, when they in the scene where the oil derrick is blowing up and on fire and everything, it was supposed to just set on fire and, like, sort of gradually, like, build up all this, thing so that they could shoot a whole bunch of different scenes and everything. But apparently, as soon as they let that thing, it just went like that.
Oh, shit.
And, like, so so he said it was really cool because it's like, Paul Thomas Anderson loves these type of accidents. So what they went and they shot a whole bunch of stuff real quick. And you can kind of see it in that scene where everything's just kind of like everybody's running around and it's just like real hectic and all that. And it's like it really worked out for the movie in the long run.
Oh, interesting.
For us to do that.
And that's hilarious because that was the incident that delayed No Country for Old Men, too.
Yeah.
'Cause there's too much smoke in the
I
scene.
think there's some smoke in the shot.
Yeah.
What from? Fire about 5 miles away?
Yeah.
Can we make this a little bit bigger so the Coens can, delay it?
Exactly. And it was talking to, and I'll never get this dude's name right, but the guy who does Spielberg cinematography these days, the Janusz Kaminski.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how in AI there was the scene where Haley Joel Osment is all blurry and everything, and he walks off the elevator and he becomes clear or whatever. That was something that was an accident. Spielberg was like, "Oh no, just keep it that way. That'll be awesome."
He's had a few happy accidents.
Yeah, for sure.
I was reading about Bryan Cranston when he guested on Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see this story? So, like few weeks ago, he gave an interview where he talked about that guest experience and how he was really happy because he made Seinfeld laugh. And, like, they had done a couple takes or warm-ups, and one of the, like, stage hands suggested that before you put the gas mask on Jerry, you should take a hit of it like it's a drug. And so Cranston did it, and they had to do a bunch of takes because Seinfeld kept cracking up every time. And he's famously hard to, he made himself laugh a bunch while making that show, but he's not the kind, it's not easy to make laugh because he's seen or heard it all. Anyway, I thought that was a pretty funny story. That episode was on the other day, too.
God, that's hilarious because he takes that, he's like...
Yep, okay, we're good. And then right after that is the scene where Jerry wakes up and they're like putting their clothes back on.
But the one thing that came out of that cinematographer thing was that there was the discussion about film versus digital. And when I see Roger Deakins, who I believe is my favorite cinematographer, say it's just what's in the frame. It doesn't matter if it's film or digital. Then I think that ends it. I think that ends the
no
debate.
kidding.
And I think I was resistant to it as a projectionist who had seen stuff on 35 millimeter for so long and everything. and we were changing over to digital projectors. As far as digital projectors are concerned, I was for it, even though it was basically just going to get me out of, I mean, it was going to take my job away from me, essentially.
Took your jib.
Yeah, took the job. I was fine with it because I knew the state of projection was so low at that point that it was going to be better, because people just kept fucking up 35 millimeter. They're in a hurry. They thread these things the wrong way. They scratch the films up. They have all sorts of dirt on it. There's projectors that have problems that the technicians can't solve right away, so that you have, like, you run a movie through it, like, 40 times before a technician comes in, and then that print's ruined, and you can order new ones, but you're just going to fuck it up. So I was fine with the projectors, but we've been watching movies that have been shot on digital even before the digital projectors came in.
Sure.
And I don't think I can tell the difference at all.
I mean, no, I don't think you can. And there are a lot of people who think you can or think they can. And I think maybe they're a little diluted. Now, I think if you shift this conversation a little bit into effects, practical versus digital, then I think it's an entirely different conclusion. But in terms of what the camera is, whether it's digital, I mean, they had the same debate in audio technology. There are bands like, I think R.E.M. was one of them, that just like insist on shooting tape to tape or
reel to reel,
recording reel to reel, physical tape as opposed to recording digital because they think it sounds better. Like, no, I know, like, everybody's real into, like, vinyl now. Has a unique thing. I'm not saying don't love it, but don't tell me the audio quality is better than digital.
No, it's
not.
totally different. It's totally different. It's a warmer sound, but it's a less crisp sound. Yeah, no, I mean, yes, I can tell a difference, and I understand why people would want to do that, but I'm always for the best quality, and if somebody like Roger Deakins says that, A, there's really no difference, and B, it's more efficient and certainly less wasteful, then fucking do it.
Well, that's the thing. That the reason we went this direction wasn't just because, hey, everything's moving. I mean, film's expensive as fuck.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And so that's why everybody started flocking to shooting digital. And I agree. I think it is what's in the frame that counts. And that's why I started thinking about effects, because I was like, but what's in the frame still has to look real.
Yeah.
Because the corn in the latest Justice League movie did not look real.
Right.
Nor did the mustache.
But the corn in Interstellar looked real because it was real.
Right.
Because he planted fucking, like, I don't know, 500 acres of corn for that movie.
Yeah, there's definitely a thing about effects. I mean, you look at what Yoda looks like in Empire Strikes Back, and then you see him in Last Jedi, and you're like, okay, I guess that's Yoda. But if you go and look at Empire Strikes Back, you can see hairs like all these little things. The puppetry is so much better. I agree with you on the effects. As far as actually getting shot, though, there's not much there. I've heard William Friedkin say this too, and I heard him on the Mark Maron's podcast saying that there's just no difference. I love shooting on digital, and this is a guy from the 70s.
Yeah, no shit.
He would think that is going to be Mr. 35. There's nothing beats it, and whatever. I don't know if you guys watched that last Project Greenlight that was on. There was a guy on there who won the competition. His name was Jason Mann, and impossible to work with, I would imagine. I mean, this guy, he gets this. Of course, they give him the micro budget like they do on Project Greenlight, which I think is an instant like non-starter.
Yeah,
because to shoot a movie for $1 million, you're really just hamstringing all these people, what they can do, who they can hire, all these different things. And I think they leave it that way so they can have that interesting conflicted show. Yeah. And everything.
That's probably also why they let the guy win who's hard to work with.
Yeah, exactly. This guy, for the first, before they even shot it or whatever, it seemed like every episode he was going to his producer and going, I really want to shoot this on film. I don't want to shoot on digital. And it was Peter and Bobby Fairley, one of the Fairley brothers was a producer on this or whatever. Was like, here, I'll show you a side by side of film and digital, and you can tell me, can you tell me what's what? And I guess he saw it or whatever. Like, yeah, there's just something missing in that digital. I can tell. Blah, there's just a warmth or a depth, and I can't. And like, he fought for this shit the entire way before they even started shooting. And then finally the producer finally got it for him, which is like an extra $600,000 to make this on film, I think. Something like that. Something like that. And she was the focal point of that Project Greenlight, because she was always seemed like she got into some sort of argument with somebody. She was right most of the time. and like you see these people arguing with her and everything. There was one incident I thought she was a little upset at I think that whole thing with the comparing digital and film and everything, she had already shown Jason Mann this stuff. So like when he decided to do it, she thought that was intruding on her, her territory or whatever. And so that was bullshit. But everything else, about it was like, what are you doing? And so he finally gets it. She goes, I got your film for you. And he's just like, oh, okay, awesome. Like he fought for this for so long and didn't even give her any, like, now who knows? They could have, like, off camera. He been like, oh my God, I'm so indebted to you or whatever. Of course. Then you watch the movie he made, which, by the way, has a 3.9 on IMDb.
Oh, shit. Lovely.
That movie sucks.
What is it?
It's called The Leisure Class.
Huh.
And what the beginning of it, what he won with was something that they couldn't shoot for some reason. I can't remember why. I don't remember what it was. But he had shot some short film that he said, oh, well, this would work perfectly for what we were doing or anyway. So we can do this one instead. Anyway, I watched this whole Project Greenlight a couple of years ago, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of interested to see what this movie is going to be like, because everything I've seen so far, I'm like, how is this going to work? It doesn't.
There you go.
I watched it, and again, he shot this on film.
Wow.
Doesn't look any different. Doesn't look any better. It looks bad, actually, but it could be a variety of other reasons why it looks bad or looks just, average or whatever. So anyway, that was something that came out of that.
I like that.
Nice. Good one. I'm going to stick with entertainment and bring up the news of Netflix's rebooting Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Ooh.
Oh, I saw that. Who was the
Sabrina Ronan?
No, it's Kieran Shipka, right?
No, Kieran Shipka. Yeah. Well, God, now I sound like I guess that would make me sexist. I get their names mixed up because they're both impossible to pronounce.
Yeah, she's
the girl from Mad Men.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's
Sally Draper, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And from what I've read, they're at least going for a radically different tone. I think I even saw the director compare it to more like the Blade films.
What?
Than Sabrina in tone. Something dark that I remember thinking, or no, maybe it was Resident Evil. Something. Anyway, they're going to go darker and not do the bubbly sitcom
have the talking
take.
cat stuff.
Yeah, well, I just don't. Make a new witch.
That's true. I mean, they did this with MTV. Did this with Teen Wolf. They made it into this goth teen romance thing when it was Boof and fucking Pamela
that shit
and
ran for like
Styles
6 seasons.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
I mean, so people obviously, and I think Netflix knows better about what they're doing than most companies do, because every time they announce something that to me sounds like a turd, they announce another one the next week, because obviously people are watching this shit.
Yeah.
And people are watching that Fuller House, including my wife.
Is she really?
I walked in her little front room the other day to see what she was watching, and it was Fuller House, and I just noped right the hell on out. I walked up and gave her a kiss and said, nope, and walked out. But it's just nostalgia is creeping into this reboot, remake phase where they're almost actively banking on people our age having a fond remembrance for something from the 80s or 90s, and therefore getting ourselves and hopefully our teenage children into this new Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, I assume that was the same reason that Gilmore Girls was rebooted and things like that. So
bringing back
Riverdale,
Mad About
that kind of
You.
thing. Yeah, exactly.
They brought back Will and Grace, bringing back fucking everything. And I'm just like, I just saw a headline the other day that said Jenna Fisher's on potential Office reunion. I haven't been approached. I'm like, that's not an article. The article could have been titled "Nothing Happened." Nothing is happening.
Right.
But because they're so prominent now reporters are asking stars who were in stuff that was popular, are you going to do a reunion? Are you going to do a reboot? Are you going to do a reunion? Because I guess people fucking want this shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. At least if you give it a darker take and you're not doing a sitcom,
Well, and
more power to you.
You know, and I guess
good actress.
The other thing about it too is that they get that sort of that 10 episode run where they can do just about anything they want to, and they can sort of work at their own pace. They don't need to get it out by a certain time period or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been hearing about Arrested Development's new season for about 2-3 years or something.
And
like
it's
that.
apparently still going to happen.
And it's still happening, but I'm sure that they're just like, all right, well, once the stars align, we'll do it. We're not going to rush our way into it or anything. But I agree. I don't like the idea of like all these shows just being remade because,
I mean, this is far better than what Will and Grace and Fuller House and Mad About You is going to do, where they're just literally coming back after a 15-year hiatus or whatever. At least they're going to cast new people, make a new creation out of it. I mean, they had a lot of success with this kind of edgier stuff, like horror-ish stuff, like Stranger Things. And so maybe it'll be great. Maybe a year from now I'll be talking about, say her name again, Kiernan
Shipka.
Yeah, I'll be campaigning for her to win an Emmy. Yeah. I don't know, but it's just from a creative standpoint, where we're starting these meetings that get things greenlit. Like we're starting at the wrong place. Starting at the wrong place makes me very sad.
I don't really know what's left there to be said with Mad About You. Like, do we want to see Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt like 20 years later
with a 19-year-old daughter?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe if they take a darker tone.
Yeah, more like Blade.
More like Blade. How about some recommends? What do we think?
Totes Amazeballs.
There, great.
It won the Academy Award.
Oh, for what?
For best movie ever made.
Well, I've been in this season been picking up a lot of Netflix shows and everything like that, and the one that I saw this past week was The End of the Fucking World.
Oh, I saw the
that's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
It's a series or a movie?
It's a series. It's
okay.
8 episodes, and I could wager you could get this done in 3 hours.
Oh, or half-hour shows?
Yeah, they're all half hour. Well, then there's some of them that are like 20 minutes. I don't know if there's one that even gets past 22 minutes in this whole thing. Very, very short. It's almost like watching sort of like a web series or something like that. The story of it is that there's this kid who has these sort of psychopathic tendencies and everything, and he really wants to kill somebody. And a lot like, this first episode may put you off because even though it's off screen, he does kill an animal. And he shows they show like a sort of in a, I don't know, collage sort of way, show all the dead animals that he's killed over the past whatever. Very dark and very dark comedy type stuff. So that may put you off in the first episode, but the
happened in House of Cards, and people still watch that.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. You don't see it on screen; it's nothing graphic or anything like that. But he really wants to kill somebody. So this girl shows up to him in the cafeteria, and if you saw those trailers or whatever, you saw her as like, I saw you skateboarding the other day. She's like, it's kind of shit, that, and he, I think he just says fuck off or something like that, but then they sort of like they're two oddballs who have found each other or whatever, and so like. So the events of it are that eventually they take off, they run away from home together, and they get in all these different like adventures and everything, and he keeps on like, she's going to be my first victim. She keeps on like thinking about it, like how am I going to do it and all that. And, for a variety of reasons, he ends up never doing it, obviously, or else we wouldn't have much of a show. But I love these leads in here. Jessica Barden plays the girl, and this guy, Alex Lawther, plays the guy in it and everything. And just the way their characters interact with each other, she's like really abrasive and like, doesn't it'd be an interesting show for Barrett, I think, to watch, because these characters have all these tendencies, but there's a heart to it and all that. And I don't know if that's common in characters like these or people like these who have all these psychopathic, sociopathic tendencies and everything. But like, it's just the way they play off of each other is really fun and everything. And they're very convincing 17-year-old kids, even though she's like 25 and he's like 22 or whatever. They play very convincing 17-year-old kids. If you saw The Lobster, she's the nosebleed girl.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it's one of those things. It's very, very easy to just go and just run through these episodes. Very funny, very interesting, characters and everything. And I recommend it based on that.
That's interesting. Did you ever? Have you watched Mindhunter yet? Have you watched
I
Mindhunter
haven't.
yet?
I have
No,
not.
but I have been strongly recommended by several people I trust.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the conversion of the John Douglas book from forever ago when they started the FBI, the Behavioral Profiling Unit. Like there's these measures of psychopathy that they were trying to go through, and I actually used to administer personality inventories that would rate psychopathic tendencies and things like that. And what Douglas came up with was this homicidal triad of like bedwetting, killing animals, and fire starting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that made it into the series, but it just always was interesting to me because I was rating this person on a scale of 1 to 10 on how psychopathic he or she was. I always thought that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, so there's a lot more, and that's one in like a series of 50 things with the MMPI. I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there's also for you Game of Thrones fans, there's it's Gemma Whelan or Gemma Whelan or however British people pronounce it. She plays Lara Greyjoy in Game of Thrones. She's in this series.
Oh, cool.
So-
Got to check it out.
Yeah.
Lara Greyjoy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go fuck the tits out of this one.
One of the best lines ever.
So I'm going to echo previous podcasts with Chris and Aaron Dicer and recommend you watch The Red Turtle,
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
which has recently been playing on Star or Showtime, one of those fucking channels. I've at this point, it's not something. The way I talk about this movie is going to sound weird when I'm recommending it, but I haven't watched it from start to finish once. It's one of those where I find it, I flip over to it, but I'm still like I'm writing sins or I'm surfing the internet. And I haven't made it all the way from start to finish, but I think I've seen the entire thing. And I've never seen anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
I realize there may be other stuff out there like this, and I'm talking about everything. The look of the animation, the sound work, the music, the story. It's like nothing I've ever seen. It utterly mesmerizes me.
Yeah.
Like almost, and even if The Matrix is on, and it's my favorite movie of all time, I'm going to turn back to the computer before I would if The Red Turtle was on. Because it's dreamlike.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like nothing I'd ever seen. And if you'd described it to me the way I'm describing it now, I probably wouldn't have sounded good to me. I watched it because Chris and Dicer said it was good, really good, and it is. It's a good movie, but it's affected me in a way the movies rarely do. It's more art than most movies seem to me to be. I don't know how to explain that.
Is this Studio Ghibli?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And it has some thematic similarities to Kubo and the Two Strings and all that. I don't know which one is superior, but what Jeremy's talking about tends to gives the edge to that one, although both are excellent. You can't lose with either one of them. But Red Turtle is just one of those movies that you start. It's delightfully weird for so much of it, but you just go along with it because it's just that you're in for it.
Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah, so
it's short. No, you're not committing to a whole afternoon. Anyway, that's my recommend for the week.
I've got a couple that are available on Amazon Instant, actually, instead of Netflix. The first one is just real quick. It was better than I had even expected. It's The Big Sick.
Big
Kumail
Sick.
Nanjiani that came out this year or last year. It's much less funny and much more emotional than I realized.
That's what I've heard. Did he direct that?
No,
No,
that
it was Michael Showalter.
Michael Showalter. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's some great shots in that, and then there's some things that aren't all that great. But you should definitely check it out. When Ray Romano and Holly Hunter show up, the movie just fucking takes off.
Yeah.
So that's basically the bulk of the movie. Anyway, it's something that you should check out.
It's a much better version of While You Were Sleeping.
It is. That's how he marketed it.
That was peak Sandra Bullock.
Yes, it
wasn't
was.
That was like, we're going to put her in every kind of romantic movie we can think of.
Yep.
But the other thing that I wanted to definitely recommend was The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. This got a lot of Golden Globes buzz. Rachel Brosnahan, who plays the main character, got the Golden Globe for series, whatever. She is freaking amazing in this. It's a period piece. It's back in the salad days of like Greenwich Village comedy scene and like weird jazz stuff, I guess in the 50s, 60s. And man, it is spectacular. The pacing, this is Amy Sherman Palladino that did Gilmore Girls.
She's got a good track record.
She's also got a very distinctive style in dialogue where somebody stops speaking and then the next person starts speaking, even if they're in the background. It's like, it's very play-like like that. And sometimes that puts me off, especially in Gilmore Girls. But in this one, it's super charming. Tony Shalhoub is in it. He's awesome.
Love me some Shalhoub.
Shalhoub. And Alex Borstein, who's the manager of the comedy club down in the village, is amazing. She is great in this. So it's definitely worth checking out.
It's a movie?
It's a series. And the first...
Seems like there's a lot of series about comedy now, like a stand-up comedy. There's like 3 or 4 running right now.
Well, The Big Sick was about stand-up, too.
Yeah. You have that, and you have the one on HBO.
The one with Pete Holmes.
Pete Holmes is in it. I saw the whole series, the whole season, the first season.
I was gonna say they've been running commercials for the second season now.
Now I'm gonna.
It's not called anything that you would.
It's
make
like
you think.
one word.
Stand up.
Yeah, crashing.
Yeah. The reason that I bring this up, I had no clue what it was about. I knew that it got a lot of buzz and that people were really digging it. But it is about this woman who does everything for her family. Like, she takes care of her husband, like props him up. He wants to be a stand-up comedian, so she's really like supporting him and trying to get him into clubs and stuff like that. And then in the pilot, he ends up leaving her. And it is determined that she actually has the stand-up talent, and she is hilarious. And yeah, there's shenanigans ensue, but it's really, really good.
What is this called again?
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Anytime you go to Amazon, it's plastered in like a screen wrap.
I got another recommend. My wife and I sat down the other night and watched the Judd Apatow Netflix stand-up special.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing that's probably the show you saw him do live.
Yeah.
And I know he did some stand-up like way back early in his career, but for a guy that's not known for stand-up and is just known as a director, I was kind of impressed.
Yeah.
First of all, there were lots of laugh-out-loud moments. I guess you could tell there's less polish there than when somebody like Seinfeld is up there doing it, just because he hasn't done this in a really long time. But he clearly, the writing was on point, his delivery was good, and we both laughed a bunch. And one of the reasons I love those comedy specials is that, first of all, you're almost guaranteed to laugh at something with stand-up comedy, and then they're like an hour. Get on with your life.
That was an interesting show because Pete Holmes opened for Judd Apatow.
I didn't know.
Really?
And he slayed. Oh, so funny. Like, I don't think I had ever seen Pete Holmes, or if I had, I didn't see his best stuff or anything, but seeing him live, he was hilarious. And then Judd Apatow comes out and he's like, well, I'm not as good as this guy. Basically. Let's
get this out up front.
Right.
Okay, what are some warns?
Danger, Will Robinson.
I don't have any, and I'm not going to bother even trying. Last week I did Saturday Night Live. That's, it's very limited to, people here in the U.S., I guess, and very limited even with people in the U.S. So I don't have very much. I am currently watching a movie that could end up being a warning, but I'm not going to bring that up yet.
All right.
Kong Skull Island.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Now, I had not seen this movie when we made the Sins video.
Right.
This was one that you guys put together.
That's right. You got to take all the heat for it.
I wasn't going to bring that up. I'm not too worried about that guy these days.
Well, when we wrote that script, we were like, how can we inflame the director as much as we can?
Yeah. So I... ever since I saw that it had come on HBO, I've kind of just been looking forward to watching it, just because I remember one of you guys saw it in theaters, I think.
We both did. We saw it on the Thursday night.
And you guys were way less than enthused.
So, yeah, like I reviewed it on Dicer's show.
Okay.
Or did you?
I think I did.
You did.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I was the only one that hated it.
Right. Yeah. And then, you know, I mean, at first I thought maybe it's because we saw this late at night. I was kind of tired. You know, I just remember being exhausted watching it, but it was like one of those movies just kept going.
Yeah.
It felt like it kept going and everything. I was like, okay, well, maybe the next time around it won't seem like that. And it got worse the second time.
Yeah. And so because of that initial feedback from you guys, and then of course I saw the script for the Sins video because I at least narrate them all even when I don't watch the movie. And then of course, you know, the quote unquote fallout from that video, all of that has made this viewing experience something I was almost salivating for. Like, and you know, if you hate me, you're probably going to assume that meant I went in ready to hate and just judged it from moment one. But movie judges itself pretty hard in the first 7 minutes by giving me like, I don't know, 5 different slow motion helicopter rotor shots.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like somebody got a bunch of new toys and was just kind of playing in a movie sandbox. I'm going to throw together this. I'm going to throw together this. I'm going to do this. There's a couple of good money shots of Kong. John C. Reilly is pretty funny. But this is the kind of movie that when you get done, you're like, how the fuck did they get all those actors? Samuel L. Jackson, Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson. It's just like, what did you tell them to get them on board? It's not in the script. Like when Samuel L. Jackson is like speechifying as the helicopters are flying through the storm and everybody's about to die, and he's like talking about what warriors do or whatever, he's quoting some famous Patton maybe or something. It's just like this was on the page. It's not like he's ad-libbing this shit. Somebody read this and said, yes, we need to make this movie.
Well, Brie Larson comes off of like at least one amazing performance to do. I know they probably paid her well, but this is the worst stock female character.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of them lately.
It's like Linda Cardellini in Daddy's Home.
Yeah.
You wonder how the actress didn't see the problem with her character. And again, you know, maybe they backed up a truck and I don't know. I think she had already, maybe she hadn't already been announced for Captain Marvel at that point. Maybe
No, I don't think
that
so.
Came after. But still, you know, you just got all this awards buzz. What's the one she was in? Room?
Yeah,
Room.
Yeah. You know, and you're right. It's just it's a cardboard cutout of a character. And the problem is that most of those, that's why Samuel L. Jackson's yelling all that bullshit. John Goodman. I just almost feel bad for some of these people that they got tricked.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it just didn't work for people. Liked it.
Yeah.
It's just I don't get it. It's not for us.
Yeah, and believe we're not trying to pile on. We'd be saying this, you know, regardless of what happened over the summer and everything with this video. It's just that it's just one of those movies. It didn't connect to us. It's got a 6.7 on IMDb, which I wouldn't say is stellar.
No,
I mean, it's average.
I'd rather watch Peter Jackson's King Kong than this.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't love Peter Jackson.
I would too.
I don't even come close to loving it.
Yeah.
Right.
All 3.5 million hours of it. But there's more to enjoy there. I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's not really a warning because I bet some of you would like it if you watched it. It's more of a anti-recommend.
Right.
Nice. Yes.
I'm a 6.7 on the Richter scale. My warrant is kind of an obvious target, but it has a higher rating than I realized, and obviously it got a sequel. So family sits down. We're like, what are we going to watch for family movie night? And I always get outvoted. But typically,
I just remembered what yours is.
Typically, we can get like a Kubo or we can get something out of there that's worth watching. So the kid picked Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Oh.
All right. Now,
you are raising that kid wrong.
Here is the,
I'm joking.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a kid. He probably loved it, right?
He loved it. Yeah. Here's the thing. There are little niblets in here of a really funny movie. Kevin James, I think we've mentioned on the podcast, is talented.
I love him.
He is funny to me. But the movie is so goddamn stupid. Like, it's basically him doing the comedic version of Observe and Report, or they were doing, the other version of it.
They had to shut down during filming because of the fire on the set of Paul.
Right, exactly. That's correct.
In the Foot Locker.
That's a true fact.
Filmed at the same mall at the same time.
Man, I remember growing up and watching shit like Kindergarten Cop or Stop or My Mom Will Shoot or shit like that. That even at the time I realized, man, besides like a couple of like funny scenes, this is pretty awful. Paul Blart, man, you could have made something out of this, but like the villain is just a goddamn stupid. Everybody around Kevin James is like just there to set up the next gag, the next like, physical humor, of which is pretty funny.
The only thing that movie has going for it is the way he looks when he's taking hard corners on that Segway. Like his serious Segway game is up there.
Yeah.
And again, I think that I love Kevin James. I just think he keeps making poor decisions, at least for me. And he's making good decisions for him because his career has continued. Now he's back on TV with another show. Killed off his wife, brought back Leah Remini.
Yeah, it's the weirdest fucking
Jumped
thing
ahead in
ever.
time.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's happy. He's living the life. But
It'll be interesting to see what the new generation considers classic. 10 years from now or whatever, because I have this issue sometimes with my nephew who is 14 years old. And like we watched that Dumb and Dumber 2 together way back in, 3 years ago, I guess. And this movie is nowhere near as funny as the first one. Even if, I know Jeremy over there doesn't even like the first one. It's worse. It's way worse if you don't like Dumb and Dumber, but I remember coming out of the theater and he's like, I think that one was better than the first one. And I was like, oh my God, it really isn't. But,
yeah, my friend Jason, he's got a teenage son. We were talking about the Matrix movies and he likes the second two a lot and hates the first one.
I could see people doing that, especially kids.
At the time, I said, you're the only person on planet Earth that feels that way.
Yeah.
But I've since learned that may not be the case.
Not to make you feel alone and alone in this world, but you are alone in this world.
Well, have you seen Paul Blart 2?
No.
Well,
I'm sure
you
that's
have
next
spared
Friday.
yourself great misery. Because he goes to like a mall security guard convention.
Oh, nice.
And everyone's heard the stories about Blart from the first movie.
Have you seen this?
I have seen the second.
Oh, my God.
I don't remember the circumstances. And I'm going to go ahead and claim it wasn't my fault. I really don't remember the circumstances.
This is not a Horrible Bosses 2 situation, right?
No, it's not. It's not. I saw the second Paul Blart first, and it was funny to me, man.
It was delightful.
I didn't see any of that funny scooter riding in the first one. It's even worse. It's everything that you hated about the first one times a million.
Man, I mean, you could make this movie smart. Just get
But there
one
is-
writer in there that knows what he or she is doing and just
Tina Fey.
make it, just make it 30% smarter, and you would have an actual watchable movie.
Yeah, the concept is actually pretty solid. That's why there were two movies made like this around the same time. Because you take a mall security guard. Mall security guard?
Yes.
Mall security guard who takes his job too seriously, and you can go dark and hard, or you can go goofy. Either way could work, but neither one of those movies are really good. I Observe and Report's better, but I still don't really enjoy it because he goes beyond anti-hero.
There's
It's
a line crossed.
hard to root for him completely in that.
Do we want to do this? Fantasy casting?
Sure.
Is this just fantasy?
No stars. No stars?
I want Bruce Willis.
Not Bruce Willis. No Schwarzenegger.
Julia Roberts. This is bad. Bad for movie stars everywhere.
Man, I'm excited about this one. Do you guys like this one?
Yeah.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I like doing the fantasy casting. I don't know if, it seems like it's, most people seem to respond favorably to it and everything. I don't know how popular a segment it is.
We'll find out.
But
I was saying I like this movie that we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm staring at it right now. I'm staring at the poster.
Yes, we do have the poster up of this now. So American Beauty. One thing that I ran into recasting this movie is that the actors in it are so unique to the original movie, are so unique that it's almost impossible to find people who would be adequate replacements for them. I kept thinking, like Kevin Spacey's just a certain way in his movies, and that's sort of how he built his career, is having this hilarious anger. Basically, it was like that's basically how he did it. And I don't know very many other actors that can really do that. But all in all, I ended up on John Hamm on this one.
Oh,
for Lester Burnham. And I feel like I feel like John Hamm is underutilized in this day and age. I think that I don't think he was typecast with Mad Men. I think people do say, oh, there's Don Draper or whatever, but if you've seen him in The Town or Bridesmaids or anything like that,
or SNL,
or SNL, you know he's got something.
John Hamm's John Hamm.
So I think he could pull this character off.
Yeah.
And because he's got that sort of balance of humor. I don't know if we've ever seen him in a sort of a rage where, like, we're in American Beauty where he throws the plate and smashes
Couple
it.
Mad Men episodes.
Yeah, maybe
that's what the money is for.
yeah.
I could see that Don Draper throwing a plate against the wall.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, and then Carolyn Burnham, Annette Bening is just such a unique actor.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know very many who can pull off that sort of. I really don't know how to describe it. It's almost like she's got some sort of traits that men typically have in their roles. She's got sort of an anger and a confidence that you don't see in very many like women roles and everything. But I ended up on Parker Posey for this.
Oh yeah, man.
She's got range for sure.
Yeah, and Parker Posey's another person that I feel like doesn't get used enough these days.
They'd make a nice couple.
Yeah.
Parker Posey and
yeah. Probably around the same age too, right?
Yeah, I think they are. So yeah, that would be. I think Parker Posey could pull off all the stuff that Annette Bening does in that movie. So I thought that was a good one.
Good call.
Probably due to the fact that I just saw this. It's the end of the fucking world or whatever. I'm gonna put the Jessica Barden actress in the Jane as a Jane in this. There were a couple others I thought about that maybe, but you gotta have somebody who's got sort of that Thora Birch type of thing where you don't consider her like super hot or anything like that. And I know that sounds superficial, but I think that character needs to be somebody who's a little like not confident, and it can't be somebody beautiful. I don't.
Well,
think.
that's the basis of the character. I mean, I think she comes out and says that. At some point,
right? But you get to know somebody like that character, and there you appreciate her for way more than just physical attributes or anything like that. And this Jessica Barden girl has that sort of look too. She's not like, any of this drop dead gorgeous or anything like that. And even in that, it's the end of the fucking world show. There's a point where this dude's trying to describe what she looks like. And he's like, she wasn't hot or anything, but she's okay. Just trying to tell it to these two detectives and everything. It's really funny.
That Thora Birch character really has the least to work with in the movie. Because I don't know what she went on to do. I don't really remember her in much else. But, I mean, she, especially with these titans that she's working around, her and Wes Bentley both, some glimpses from Wes Bentley, but, like, they're pretty much blank slates throughout the movie.
Yeah. There wasn't very much that I know that she did afterwards that we could, like, oh, yeah, that was a really good role. I know that she turned down Election, or she got fired from Election for the Reese Witherspoon role because she didn't get where it was going, or something like that. But that was in 1999 as well. So like everything after that, really, I don't know. Just didn't really. She'd probably been in a ton of stuff after that, but not stuff that we really know. For Ricky Fitz, I have Ansel Elgort, who's in Baby Driver. I think he could really play that role very well.
I love him in that movie.
Yeah,
I think I like that movie the more like distance I get from it.
I liked it better the second time.
Yeah,
the first time, I still have a problem with the entire like last 20 minutes of it. And there's another John Hamm movie, by the way.
Yep,
another Kevin Spacey movie.
I saw a post on Reddit the other day of a guy who lives in Atlanta and went out on New Year's Day and took photos of like hundreds of filming locations used in movies. So they shoot a lot of the Marvel movies down there. So like I guess the Avengers complex is actually a Porsche complex, and they digitally add the A and all that stuff. But anyway, I guess Baby Driver was shot in Atlanta. I didn't know that. And he's got like 30 or 40 set locations, real life versus the movie, because he's side by sides them all. I'll try and find that link and send it to you.
And when you watch the movie, you can't believe that it was shot in Atlanta either, because there's no traffic anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, when they shoot a movie, they get to shut down the roads.
That's true. That's so true. For Angela, the Mina Suvari character, I have Laura Harrier, who was in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh.
She was the love interest in that.
Oh, Michael Keaton's daughter?
Michael Keaton's daughter.
I don't think I've seen her in anything except that.
Yeah, I haven't either. And she's 27. I didn't know
Jesus.
she was that old.
She is
but
goddamn gorgeous.
Yeah, she is. She could easily play, though, she can still play high school, obviously.
But can she cheerlead?
That's a really tough question.
I think Thora Birch and Mina Savari's cheerleading in that original is like unmatched.
Well, I was looking very closely, and they didn't screw up once.
What's funny to me is the point I'm making, the joke I'm making, is that they both look kind of very robotic.
Definitely.
Because they're not like dancers.
Yeah. For Colonel Fitz, I have Matthew McConaughey.
I love that.
Jesus, sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
There are times when we do these where I cast somebody and I'm just like, we send this shit to each other ahead of time. I don't always look at everybody's answers. I almost never look at yours because they come in after mine.
Mm-hmm.
I look at yours so I don't double yours. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I'm gonna be mind blown with this cast, and now I'll come sitting here and you'll do something like that. Because that's fucking perfect.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I thought about this after putting him down. I was like, there could be some sort of subconscious thing here, because they were in Lone Star. He and Chris Cooper are playing the same character. Matthew McConaughey's playing the younger version, and Chris Cooper's playing the older. So there might have been a subconscious type of thing going on. Of course, they were also in A Time to Kill together too.
Oh, yeah.
But Lone Star was the thing I think I may have subconsciously thought about. But I was sitting there thinking, who could believably be this hard ass, I don't know if he has to be like a Texan or, somebody has that Chris Cooper drawl or anything. But of all the people that could play that character, who's ashamed of who he is and is a hard ass colonel and all this other type of stuff, I feel like Matthew McConaughey could play that terrifyingly.
Yeah.
And you just think about him with a buzz cut and sitting there watching stupid ass military recruitment videos.
I mean, if you've seen Frailty or Killer Joe, or he's demonstrated the kind of menace that this character, because one of the best things about Chris Cooper's performance, and I guess maybe the script, is kind of the slow reveal of exactly how bad it is, because you get sort of the shell-shocked PTSD mother, but in the beginning you just kind of think maybe he's a little strict, a little bigoted, and then you'd find out later on, he beats him.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is perfect. God damn you. I almost don't even want to read my fucking list now.
What's interesting, really, is looking at the ages of a lot of these actors when they were in American Beauty and realizing I'm their fucking age.
Yeah. They're not suck.
Kevin Spacey was 40 when he did American Beauty. Annette Bening was 41. Allison Janney was 40. Can you believe that? Because they really aged her down, aged her up in this movie.
Yeah, they sure did.
But for Barbara Fitz, which is the Allison Janney character, I have Lena Headey playing.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
This one. I think that would give her a little bit more range too. I think she is in danger of getting typecast as, this game of as bitch. Yeah. Now, I think basically on the strength of that 300 performance, that's where she ended up being in Game of Thrones and everything, because it just seemed like, I don't know, it just seemed like there was a natural connection from 300 to go to that and everything. But yeah, it's getting to the point now where she's got that ice cold, look and everything. This one would play completely different, and I think she's got the ability to do it.
Shame.
And
Shame. Shame.
And for Buddy, the real estate king, I have Morris Chestnut.
Nice.
I saw him in that girls trip, and I was like, man, I haven't seen Morris Chestnut in forever. And
it needs to be somebody like that, because that's how you felt when Peter Gallagher comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't seen that guy in forever.
Right.
Fuck me, Your Majesty.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, there you go. I enjoyed doing that one. That was good.
Yeah.
Do it, Mr. M.
Fill me up.
Fill me up, Mr. M. All right, here we go. This is I hope people enjoy listening to these. We'll just go ahead and put a request in the middle of the podcast. Let us know how you feel about these recasting. I feel like most of the comments I see are positive. I don't think I've seen anybody like, fucking stop with the recasting.
Yeah.
But I love them. I've already got ideas for other movies we should do. So Lester Burnham, Kevin Spacey.
Mm-hmm.
Barrett has the perfect choice. I can't choose him. But I chose Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
Now, see, ever since I saw that, I can picture almost every scene with Matthew Perry in it, like killing it.
Well, and that's the thing, is that he's had a couple of chances to be dramatic. Not really on Friends. Studio 60 gave him a few scenes to do more than just straight comedy. I think he's got the chops there to play both, the anger when it's needed, but I keep picturing the scene when she comes home and he's bought the sports car and he's like, I rule.
Yeah,
I can see Chandler, an aged Chandler, being that guy. And I'm going to stick with the Friends theme, obviously. The only thing I talk about anymore. So his wife, Annette Bening, is going to be played by Jennifer Aniston.
Ooh.
That's a hilarious. Yeah, that's a hilarious mashup.
Two of the only 6 Friends characters that never hooked up.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, right age. Again, I think she could play this really well. What's interesting is, did you ever see what's the movie she's in with Kevin Bacon? It's like one of her first movies. Not Pitch Perfect.
It was. See, I could come up with this.
Perfect Guy.
It was something perfect.
Simply Perfect. Anyway, like, you can tell how much she's grown as an actress, because at that point she was probably only 3 seasons.
Picture
into Friends.
Perfect.
Picture Perfect.
Yeah.
That's it. And she's just kind of basically playing Rachel in this movie. But she's been in that movie with the book. God damn it. And the Gyllenhaal.
The Good Girl?
Yes.
Is the movie with the book?
There's a book. Trust me. All right. So I think she's got the right kind of range. For Ricky, the weird-ass kid next door that films dead animals in bags, I'm going with Asa Butterfield.
Nice. What has he done recently?
He did that kid who grew up on Mars. Wasn't that him?
Well, he was in Ender's Game. That's his.
Ender's Game is the big
No, I mean,
thing.
like after. Well, I guess that was only 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it was
like
2 years ago.
4
But it
years
was,
ago.
yeah, it's a little longer than that. But yeah, there was that Kid on Mars movie that you're talking about. That was earlier last year.
I think so.
Like February or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it just in Ender's Game, I think he displays what's that kind of cold, weird outcast that I think the Wes Bentley character needs. Thora Birch, the daughter of Lester Burnham. I'm going to go with Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Nice.
Who may be a little too pretty for the role.
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrible that I think things like this, because you're right. I think one of the only things about that character that makes her stand out is that she's not as hot as her friend.
Right, but in Edge of 17, she played a more
That's what I'm saying.
homely
I was going to
character.
say, Edge of 17 kind of frumped her up a little bit. She's still gorgeous, obviously, but it also shows a ton of range. So I think she'd be great. In her friend's role, we're going to go back to Mad Men and Kiernan Shipka.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say it right?
I don't know if you did.
Let's just pretend I did.
Yeah.
For Angela, the Mina Savari character?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Because there's always this is a stupid reason to cast somebody, by the way, but there's always been something unique about Mina Savari's look.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Almost like she looks more like a magazine cover girl than a human.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
Like, almost like she's fictional, but she's not. I think this girl from Mad Men has the same kind of unique look, like the bone structure and her eyes. She's got a very unique look.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason, and probably because she was fresh on my mind from the earlier podcast stuff,
Nice.
I casted her. I'm not done. We got to go next door. We got to go next door and get the Chris Cooper Nazi memorabilia loving guy.
That's right.
Timothy Olyphant.
Oh, yeah. I can see Timothy Olyphant doing this.
Because of Go.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, a lot of things. He's played the bad guy in a lot of things.
He
The Girl
has.
Next Door
Yep.
is one.
Live Free or Die Hard?
Yeah, Live Free or Die Hard. Yeah, he's a good bad guy.
All right. And his wife is going to be played by Linda Cardellini, because she's already shown that she can be a vacuous wife who does nothing to stand up to her husband in Daddy's home.
I like how this is a cynical casting.
This is your punishment for doing Daddy's home.
I'm putting you in this role. All right, for Buddy, the real estate king, David Schwimmer. That's where I go back to Friends.
Oh.
So when Jennifer Aniston cheats on her husband, she'll be cheating. It'd be Rachel and Ross.
Rachel and Ross.
So she could say, "Fuck me, the king
This
Ross."
American Beauty would be way more, I think, satirical and parody-like than anything.
I think it would. But that's, we can change the tone.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not done. I got a couple more just for fun. The two gay neighbors, I'm going to put Zac Efron and Dave Franco in there.
Perfect.
Just for fun.
Absolutely perfect.
And then I went ahead and cast the fast food girl that ends up being Lester's boss at the fast food chain, and I put Kat Dennings in there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I think she would have the right amount.
So busted.
Oh, my God.
Something tells me you're going to remember me this time.
Well, the Lester Burnham that I imagined, it took me a while to get there because you're right. Kevin Spacey has a singular performance in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of kept coming back to the I Rule moment, and I came up with Paul Rudd. Right?
I mean, as soon as I read that, I was like, no, nobody's going to come close. That's as good as McConaughey playing the other role. That's just, I can see it. I can almost see it.
Yeah, you can see him when they come out of the gym and everything, where he's like, "Hi, Angela. Hi, Angela. Hi, Angela." You can see Paul Rudd doing that kind of this lovesick, like weird, obsessed, weed-loving, workout, I want to look good naked type of dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's got more range, I guess, than he gets credit for. He's smarmy and sarcastic and stuff like that. And most of the stuff.
He was also in a terrible Jennifer Aniston movie called The Object of My Affection.
Ooh, wow.
I had a pun off one night with a fellow manager while we were building that movie, and I won when I called him a reject of booth projection. It's not really a pun off. It was a rhyme off. Object of my affection. I think we went through 5 or 6 different ones where we came up with stuff that rhymed, but I called him a reject of film projection. End battle.
I don't know if
fatality.
I don't know if we get that kind of Paul Rudd anymore, though. Like the like even in the Clueless days, could you imagine? The actor we saw in Clueless was going to be this guy that we later saw, and 40-year-old virgin and all that.
Yeah, he's just more of a kind of a doe-eyed, handsome everyman for the first part of his career.
I never really got his character in Clueless until later on, because he's the stepbrother, first of all.
Right.
And then, he's in college, but he's like a clerk for his dad, too. It seems like a lot of responsibility for a freshman.
Yeah, but of course, you can also read into a lot of other stuff too. Like he likes being that because he gets to come over and see Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah. But anyway, I think he's got this role.
That's
he would
perfect.
Be good.
That's perfect.
For Carolyn Burnham, his wife, Annette Bening's character, I'm going with Eva Longoria.
Oh.
Bring her back, because I watched a lot of Desperate Housewives when it was on, and I loved it up until a point, like season 2 or 3 or something like that. But she has a lot of range, man. Like, she can play over dramatic, which Annette Bening definitely did.
Yeah,
she can
this is a good
play
pick.
freak out, and she can play very confident too. And I think she's right around the right age. And I would think like an Eva Longoria, Paul Rudd combination would be very
why
believable.
She needs to be brought back? Because she made that Over Her Dead Body movie.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's the only reason she ever went away.
It's that, and then she did the Sentinel too, right, with Kiefer Sutherland.
I never saw that shit.
She got caught up in that tabloid train, and I think that's what hurt her.
Oh, she had a famous husband, and they broke up, right?
Yeah, it was what's his name from the Spurs?
Was it Rick Fox or was
no,
it
Manu
the French
Ginobili?
guy?
Tony Parker.
Tony Parker.
Yeah.
Funny to me that Tony Parker is the French guy.
Yeah.
He is the French guy.
He is the French
C'est
guy.
français.
Yeah. But because when they got married, all that you could ever hear about was their sex lives. Now, part of it was because she did that a lot, but it's still she became sort of a caricature and everything, and you kind of forget that she could be good and everything. So
All right, for Ricky, the Wes Bentley character, I'm going with Lucas Hedges.
Oh,
yeah.
So this is the kid that was in
Lucas Hedges
Manchester
would be amazing.
by the Sea. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He was in Manchester by the Sea and Lady Bird. That's the only 2 times that I've seen this guy, but he is amazing in both of them. He could definitely play a drug dealer. He's right at the right age, and he's got he's got nuance, man. Like in Manchester by the Sea, he's kind of like the victim essentially, but then there's like a harder edge to him, especially where like he kind of blows back against Casey Affleck. So I think he could totally pull this off.
Yeah.
And I think his interactions with Paul Rudd, I think, would be more believable. I never really quite got behind the Wes Bentley, Kevin Spacey interactions, particularly later on. With the misunderstandings and that bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyway, for Jane, the Thora Birch character, Saoirse Ronan. So make it a Lady Bird reunion. But
Nice.
I think she could totally do it. You could see in Lady Bird that she played this perfect high school coming of age character, and she would fit right back into this.
Yeah, no, that's a good call.
And she is very attractive, but again, she has an interesting look about her. And her friend, Angela, is going to be Emma Watson.
Angela.
Wow, Emma Watson.
Emma Watson playing very much against type.
Yeah, playing a bitchy character.
Yes. Isn't she 30?
No, she's like 27, but she could totally still pass for a high schooler.
I think she could, yes.
But yeah, and I think she's such a good actress. And Mina Savari, God bless her, was not excellent in that movie.
Well, we didn't know it at the time. Right? Because we thought it was just a character trait.
Exactly.
And then we saw American Pie and we were like, oh, no, that's just her. I get it. Because, the character ends up being not at all what she's pretended or the reputation she's put forth.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like it. I think it should be fun. Buddy, the real estate king, baby Andy Garcia.
Oh, now he may be a little.
You just
are you
dropped
going to
some
trim
Andy
all but
Garcia.
one scene so that he just like Passengers?
It's going to go to one frame of him fucking Evil
Right.
Longoria,
That's
and
it.
then he's gone.
Right.
You don't even see his face.
Right. It was like there was little known facts, but in the American Beauty remake, that was Andy Garcia fucking Eva Longoria.
Here's another warn that I just was reminded of. Did you ever see the movie with him and Andy McDowell where he's trying to sell scalp tickets to the Pope?
No.
Don't.
Okay. Well, that's very descriptive.
Do I need to tell you anymore? The Pope is coming to the U.S. for the
When did
first
this
time in
come out?
ages. It's a hot ticket. Oh, God, I would say late 90s, mid 90s.
Oh, I
It's
think I remember the
called
title.
The Ticket Out or The Right Ticket or
jeez.
Last Chance Kitchen. Last
Train to Busan.
It's like it's something ticket. And it's like a romantic comedy.
Just the ticket.
Just the ticket.
Avoid
Wow.
like the plague.
All right.
All right.
Good to know.
Sorry. Go on.
All right.
with
So
your
that's the real estate king. He and Eva Longoria are getting busy.
I like the hand gesture.
Yeah, that's right. Colonel Fitz, the Chris Cooper character, is going to be Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. We have a True Detective connection here.
Can he,
Exactly
can he
right.
shave his head with a knife?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what he's going to be doing. Like while he's watching these recruitment videos, is shaving his head with a knife.
Yes.
But I know. I mean, you saw in War for the Planet of the Apes, he can be super menacing. Natural born killers, he can be super menacing. So I think he could absolutely fucking
White men
nail
can't
this.
jump. He's super menacing.
That's right.
in that.
Absolutely.
That's another person that's a better actor than I think he gets credit for because
he
he's
is.
got all kinds of range.
All you have to
man.
do is watch that first season of True Detective to see that there's more talent there than he usually displays.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's good.
But he's like Willie Nelson, man. He likes him some weed.
He
so-
sure does.
I mean,
So does Matthew McConaughey.
He's just
Yeah.
They're not going to be smoking up on set though because that's two different recastings.
That's right.
They're not in the same recasting.
Well, I mean,
there is plenty of weed on
they
the
would
set.
find
though.
a way, though. I mean, Woody Harrelson could just visit him.
Do you
also.
ever find, that guy and that guy were in this movie? Like we were talking about Chris Cooper and Matthew McConaughey were both in two movies together. And sometimes I'll stumble onto the beginning of that and think I found some new magic, like, answer to the universe. Like Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes have been in at least 3 movies together. I think maybe 4.
Money Train was one, and
White Men Can't Jump, and then
Yeah, I think there was at least another one. I can't remember.
Anyway, so I was watching Cold Mountain yesterday because
Uh-huh.
it happened to be the best thing on. It's not a bad movie. And I realized, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Jude Law were both in Talented Mr. Ripley together.
Uh-huh.
And I went to IMDb, and like 10 minutes later, I was like, okay, that's all they ever did together. But I thought for a second, I was like, are they good friends? Maybe they're good friends.
No,
Maybe they
it
like
seems
acting
like they've
together.
done stuff together.
Yeah,
I don't know
it feels
why.
like the kind of combination that there was going to be more out there when I went.
That
looking.
is something
There
that I
wasn't.
like to do. I do like to come up with those. Oh yeah, okay, they were in the same movie or whatever. But if you go to the IMDb, which they have, I don't know why. When did they turn into? When did their trivia and everything turn so trashy?
I don't know, man, but
Like
it
used
sucks.
to be good trivia,
Mhm.
like stuff that was interesting to know about the movie and everything. But Like, there's some now that go on there and they'll say, these two actors appeared in this movie together, even though they have no scenes in this one.
Yeah.
And you're like, that doesn't mean anything that they were in the same movie but didn't have any scenes together.
That section is like Wikipedia right now. It's like a less policed Wikipedia.
Yeah. So
it's pretty shitty.
Yeah. All right.
So the last one is the Allison Janney character, the shell-shocked wife, the PTSD wife.
I said it too, so we're both in the same boat.
Barbara Fitz, it's going to be Elizabeth Marvel. Now, Elizabeth Marvel hasn't been she's not a very recognizable actress. She was most recently in the Meyerowitz stories, the Noah Baumbach Netflix thing with Dustin Hoffman and Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller. And she's awesome. And she's very, very like dressed down.
I know you're talking about. She's in a lot of things.
Yeah, she is.
True Grit. She's Haley Steinfeld grown up.
Right.
And she was in House of Cards.
Yeah. She was the
Yeah, she's been in a million things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think she would be. She's very Allison Janney-y. I feel like I broke a part of my brain when I said that. Mini stroke.
One time I had a nice coffee, and it was stronger than usual. And I told my wife, "This coffee is very coffee-y," and we laughed about it. And now it's just a thing I do regularly. I'll add like 2 or 3 extra e's at the end of the word coffee.
All right. Oh my God. Well, that was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
You want to do a couple of questions?
Sure.
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth.
I am listening.
I don't know why I felt the need to shout at you.
Minions have come inside that studio.
Fucking kick him in the face.
Fucking minions.
So I got a question for the SinCast. What is the best joke told in movies? This person really likes the stork joke Michael Caine tells in Children of Men. In fact, it's a joke that he tells people in real life. What do you guys think?
Well, go ahead.
It's just mine's quick and short and sweet. And I like that knock joke that Tom Hanks tells in Catch Me If You Can, which is basically just an excuse to cuss people. Knock knock, who's there? Go fuck yourself.
And then later on, he's like, I got one thing to say to you, and he's like, what? Knock, knock.
Very good use of editing for humor's sake there, by the way. So anyway, that was the first and only real thing that came to my mind as a decent, it's not even a real joke, but it's mine.
Yeah. The one that Quentin Tarantino tells in Desperado.
I literally just watched this.
Very beginning of the movie, he's at the bar. I believe Cheech Marin is the bartender.
Yeah.
But it's basically just him, like, and you'll have to excuse me, I'll have to go through this.
Oh yeah, it's a mouthful.
He's like, this reminds me of a joke. This guy comes into a bar, walks up to the bartender, says, "Bartender, got me a bet for you. I'm gonna bet you $300 that I can piss into that glass over there and not spill a single solitary drop." The bartender looks. I mean, we're talking like this glass is like a good 10 feet away. He says, "Now wait. Let me get this straight. You're trying to tell me you'll bet me $300 that you can piss standing over here, way over there into that glass and not spill a single drop?" Customer looks up and says, "That's right." Bartender says, "Young man, you got a bet." The guy goes, "Okay, here we go. Pulls out his thing. He's looking at the glass, man. He's thinking about the glass. He's thinking about the glass. He's thinking about the glass, thinking about his dick, glass. And then foosh, he lets it rip. And he pisses all over the place, man. He's pissing on the bar. He's pissing on the stools, on the floor, on the phone, on the bartender. He's pissing everywhere except the fucking glass, right? Okay, so bartender, he's laughing his fucking ass off. He's $300 richer. He's like, ha, ha, ha. Piss is dripping off of his face. He's like, ha, ha, ha. He says, "You fucking idiot, man. You got in everything except the glass. You owe me $300, punta." And the guy goes, "Excuse me, just one little second." Goes in the back of the bar. In back, there's a couple of guys playing pool. He walks over to them, comes back to the bar, goes, "Here you go, Mr. Bartender, $300. And the bartender's like, "What the fuck are you so happy about? You just lost $300, idiot." The guy says, "Well, see those guys over there? I just bet them $500 a piece that I could piss on your bar, piss on your floor, piss on your phone, and piss on you. And not only would you not be mad about it, you'd be happy."
That's a good one.
Oh, it's great. And the way it's shot is, it's these people, these stone-faced, like, bar denizens just looking at him like, where is this going, man? Cheech Marin's just like, "Fuck, I'm the fucking bartender, man." That was a very Cheech Marin voice.
Yeah, yes.
Introducing Barrett's Mexican voice.
Yes.
But it is great. Anyway,
Yes.
that's an awesome one. Mine is the classic, for many reasons, in Good Will Hunting. This is really the midpoint of the movie where Will Hunting, in therapy, when Robin Williams is falling asleep, he does the joke. He's like, so I'm on the flight one time, and the pilot is doing his regular thing. You know, we're going to cruise at 6,000 feet, blah blah blah, and then he puts the mic down and doesn't realize that it's on, and he's like, man, all I can use right now is a cup of coffee and a fucking blowjob. And the stewardess runs down the aisle to tell him to turn the mic off. And some guy or a buddy of mine leans over and says, "Don't forget the coffee." And Robin Williams doesn't laugh.
Right.
And it's not particularly funny. It's a pretty funny joke.
Yeah, yeah.
But the fact that, like, it's the turning point of the entire movie. He's finally breaking the silence in therapy. It's providing an insight into, have you ever traveled anywhere? No, it's a joke. It's funny if it's told in the first fucking person, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the key to that whole thing. I love that music.
Yeah.
That moment.
I love how he starts telling the joke and then he cuts his eyes over to Robin Williams like, okay, I'm the one that started to talk first. I get it.
Yeah.
Let's make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
You know?
And literally, like, Robin Williams is like, It's kind of like it's kind of like John Travolta's reaction to the joke in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Too petrified to laugh. If you suddenly had to fill in for the professor of a film survey class in 2 hours without previous warning, what film would you pick to show and discuss? Like a film that you would have both great appreciation and extreme familiarity with to discuss minutiae, composition of shots, etc. I like this question a lot.
Yeah,
it is very good, but I've never been to film school. I'd make a pretty bad film teacher.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, but you
make up for it with
movies.
Jokes and sarcasm.
Yeah,
but
it's like, here's Demolition Man.
Now let's break down why this film is genius.
The Taco Bell's a metaphor.
Way ahead of its time. I guess I'll go first, and I'll say probably I want to say The Matrix, just because the familiarity there. Because I know that movie inside and out, but I think I would still find myself gravitating towards The Untouchables. And like I said in my notes email, this movie is the embodiment of what Chris is trying to say whenever Chris says they just don't make movies this way anymore.
Right.
The way that it's shot, the way it was scripted, the way it's acted, basically everything about it's almost a lost art at this point. But it does so many things so well, from the acting to the score to the understanding the beats and moments and what needs to be in between them, knowing how to use silence, masterclass in that, especially that train scene shootout at the end, just fucking phenomenal. The Matrix is my favorite movie, but I probably get more boners about The Untouchables. Film boners.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you clarified.
Untouchables.
Well, Patricia Clarkson back in the day
when Sean Connery gets killed, man.
Yeah, totally.
Brian De Palma.
Yep.
Untouchables.
Yep.
1985. Although it was like 87.
It was 87.
Yeah,
but don't forget Andy Garcia was in that, and he was not cut out of that movie.
That's true. That's true.
That's right.
Better than you stinking Irish pig. Oh, I like him. I could go all day on that movie.
He's over 30 years old.
Yep.
30 years old.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good pick.
I'm going to do Shaun of the Dead.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I think you could really do almost any Edgar Wright. And you could do Shaun of the Dead. You could do Hot Fuzz. You could do Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And I know Scott Pilgrim versus the World has its extreme coffee take on some things. But even that movie, even if you're sort of distressed by the sort of the hyperkinetic nonsense that goes on in there, there's a lot of things in there to study on that. Shaun of the Dead's one of those movies though that I would tell the class to look at the editing and look at how he makes jokes out of just editing sometimes.
Right.
Especially when he's telling the plan that, of that whole thing, ending with drinking at the Winchester and everything. And then somebody will bring up one little wrinkle and say, okay, well then we'll do it this way and whatever. And and it would be a good thing in screenwriting too, because during that whole story, he ends up basically telling you exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like the Bloody Mary thing. There's the clerk named Mary who's a zombie who has blood on her on her shirt. All those type of things. I like the inside jokes of that thing where they have the whole crew runs into another crew that's exactly like them, and they just happen to be other like big British TV stars at the time, like Martin Freeman's in there.
Yeah.
A whole bunch, and just that conversation where they all walk past each other and just sort of acknowledge that, but it's just one of those movies that, just look at, you don't see comedies shot the way that Edgar Wright shoots them. Most comedies that you see are all the same. They all go to the same school. We got to put the camera somewhere. We might have some limited movement here and there, but really we're just setting it here. We'll let the dialogue take care of itself. And most of the time it's not funny.
Right.
In Shaun of the Dead, he finds so many ways to be funny just through it's not even a joke written down on paper.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just ends up making it just amusing all the time. It's something that would be great to study, just as far as, how to make people laugh in a movie, how to make things a joke when there's not even a joke there. And Shaun of the Dead has so much of it. So really, you're just a masterclass in just about everything. And I would, you could talk about that movie for days, and you can enjoy it on a very simple level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you start studying it and everything, it's like, whoa, this is even better than I thought it was. And I think that goes for Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim as well.
Yeah, because the layering of the genres is so expert. The same in Hot Fuzz too. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's what fails in The End of the World.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. There's something, I don't know what was going on.
There's not a clear. Of course, it's apocalyptic and comedy, but there's not like a clear genre that it's aping. Really,
maybe.
Little sci-fi, but
we got to give some of this credit to Simon Pegg too, right? Because doesn't he write or co-write most of Edgar Wright's films?
Yeah.
So those pair as a filmmaking duo, pretty good shit.
Yeah,
and I agree. Especially, I would do Hot Fuzz, but only because I've seen that way more than Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, I think I've seen Hot Fuzz more than I've seen Shaun of the Dead as well.
But either one would work great. They both have the same kind of thing you're talking. Even Hot Fuzz has that same. They have a conversation, and then later on, everything they talked about.
Yeah. And Scott Pilgrim, I brought this up before, but Scott Pilgrim has just one tiny moment in it that's great, and it was, Alison Pill's character is like, oh, they have a female drummer, and so like there's a point where you completely forget about that for a while. They finally the Sex Bomb gets on the stage, and they start playing and everything. And there's like everybody's enjoying the music. You see all the different characters enjoying the music and everything, and then there's just that tiny cut to the other female drummer, and this camera's just kind of slow zooming in on her, and she's got this look on her face like, fucking female drummer. You can tell, it's just adding a little detail like that is just amazing to me.
Yeah. Good call.
This is not a film survey class, but a long time ago, I used to teach at ITT Tech. I don't even know if ITT Tech is still in business.
I don't think it is, actually.
Professional school.
They went under, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Because they had like some kind of fraud with their school loans or some shit.
Yeah, well, I got in and out before that happened.
All right, good.
But I was teaching a social psychology class, and I showed them Kicking and Screaming, Noah Baumbach's version, the 96 version. And it really is a good example of like, quote, in-group, out-group behavior that you learn in Psychology 101. And like, all of them talk the same, all of them can't really live without each other, that kind of thing. Moving on, circumstances could not have fallen flatter on this audience.
Oh, that's too bad.
The beats that were hilarious to me, I'm laughing, and I look out and it's fucking crickets.
Oh, geez.
And they're just like, I don't get it. So that was not the best thing to show that particular class.
Like, oh boy, a dictionary. I'm going to look up blowjob.
Hey, I
taught a lot filthier.
I taught Dreamweaver for a whole semester without a single lesson plan, and I didn't even know how to use Dreamweaver.
Really?
I'm dead serious. I took a job first. We mentioned this in our Everything Wrong with Cinemasins video that one of us taught 2 semesters of junior college. So I first taught Publisher, Microsoft Publisher, which I knew really well. I got that job, and I guess I did a good job for the 4 students I had in my class. So They hired me the next semester. First, they asked if I knew Dreamweaver, and I lied and said yes. And then they hired me to teach Dreamweaver. At this point in my life, I feel a little bit bad about this, like cosmically. But at this point in my life, I needed the $200 a month or whatever the fuck they were paying me more than I needed, to be honest. And so I knew there was only one class period I was going to have any problem with, because the guy that hired me every semester comes and sits in on one of your classes.
Yeah.
And he came and sat in, and I'm like, what am I going to do here? And so thankfully, one of the students had a question, and it filled a whole goddamn hour.
It was
They
like a
asked
Kevin
a
Smith
question, and I did the classic, well, what do the rest of you think we should do about this? And that led to another question, and I did the whole, well, what do you guys think we should do here? And, of course, they knew Dreamweaver way better than I did. I didn't know it. I was writing my novel up at my desk. I wasn't using Dreamweaver or anything. Anyway, derailed. Sorry. At least you knew the subject you were teaching.
Yeah.
At least you weren't like a fraud.
I did do a transportation security class, by the
nice.
way, which is... But what I'm going to actually do for my film survey class is A Few Good Men. Mm-hmm. Not only that I know it backwards and forwards and inside and out, probably could quote the entire movie from start to finish. It's obviously got a terrific script from Aaron Sorkin. It's the shots and the camera work from Rob Reiner are fantastic. Mm-hmm. The performances from Cruise and Nicholson and Demi Moore and Kevin Pollak, spot on. Like, everything about that movie is perfect, and it's not bombast. It's not covered in effects or anything like that. It's literally just a straightforward story done perfectly. Mm-hmm. And I think, man, you could get a lot of mileage out of that.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Anyway, let's do one more question real quick.
Right.
All right, what's the best movie on a budget? I'm almost more impressed with what Paranormal Activity was able to do on such a little budget than I am with the movie itself. I agree. With your experience with film, what do you think did the most with the least? And the bonus question, what movies failed to do something with an abundance of resources? There's a lot more on the latter list that we could list than the former.
No kidding. I feel like Donnie Darko did the most with what it had. $6 million budget.
Yeah.
It didn't make even $6 million, though. It made like,
did it not?
It made like 1.2
Well,
million.
and $5 million probably went to Seth Rogen.
Yeah, totally. Because they were investing in futures at the time.
You had big stars in that, though. You had
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore, Noah Wiley at the time, Patrick Swayze. Yeah, there's some.
Yeah, and then, future Jake Gyllenhaal and Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Future Jake Gyllenhaal.
We're casting the future versions of
That's right. Everybody's like, and yeah, you had Mary McDonnell and all that. Yeah, it's a lot of people in there, and future Jenna Malone.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is, I remember watching. I was like, these effects are really good that are in Donnie Darko, like the little digital, especially like when he goes and hits the. He pokes the mirror with a knife or whatever, and it's got that pool-like thing or whatever. And apparently, I think I heard this on the commentary for this movie once. Richard Kelly said, like, yeah, I got this guy who just basically just did this for nothing, almost. Just did it for nothing, almost. I don't know how much they ended up paying him or whatever for it, but this guy just gave him all these great effects, like the thing with the poking the knife, the little future paths that you see them about to walk and all that.
They're still impressive.
Yeah, they still are, and especially for a movie 2001, $6 million and everything. So I think it did a lot with almost nothing.
I love the sound in that too.
Yeah.
The voice of Frank the Rabbit is like terrifying.
Oh yeah,
it's right up here.
Yeah, and the music in it too is really really memorable soundtrack.
Love
to that.
that.
I was looking at the most expensive movies ever made, and obviously we could go through a menagerie of movies that were big budget and did not use it very well and everything. I was surprised to find out that John Carter was made for $268 million.
Wow. 268?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
And of course, we don't know exactly the totals of all these things, but we know, I think whenever a figure is stated, we can at least start there, or it's somewhere around there or whatever. And yeah, John Carter, there's not a movie that conflicts me more as far as the talent involved and what we got, because Andrew Stanton, he felt like he was going to be another Brad Bird type of guy. I mean, he did all these great Pixar movies, And then he does this John Carter.
Yeah.
And it's such a bland, plain action special effects movie. Doesn't have anything much to offer at all.
Yeah.
I understand the maybe the want or need to adapt this old book and everything, but by this point we've seen so many things. John Carter, there's nothing special about that story anymore. So they went and did this huge budget extravaganza thing, and hoping that Taylor Kitsch would take off and all that.
Many have hoped that Taylor Kitsch would take off.
Yeah.
He's still around.
I think he's a good actor. It's just that I don't think he's a leading man or
No.
anything. I think they tried to make him that for some reason. I think that's against type for him. But yeah, I was very surprised to see that. And I don't think they got much out of that. The effects are terrible.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really special about it that would make it $200 and something worth of money to make.
Yeah, no, good call. Making the most of its budget, I'm going with Primer, a movie I've mentioned several times. A time travel movie that'll probably need to watch 6 or 7 times before you even begin to understand it. And that's part of the reason I think they made the most of their budget, is that they created something that was so confounding and compelling that it has it's got a very rabid fan base, people who love it. You go to Reddit, anytime there's any kind of what's the best time travel movie thread, you're going to see Primer, probably one of the most upvoted. It's also just trendy to like Primer. And I've told you guys before, listeners and you too, that I've seen this movie. I don't have any desire to watch it 5 more times just to understand it, but I get why people love it. I can see that. And it was made for $7,000.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
$7,000. Like, that's half a car.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to get your hands on, Everybody's got a rich uncle somewhere.
Yeah.
$7,000. Anyway, my other end of the spectrum, I'm going with my main man, and Kevin Costner in Waterworld. $175 million they spent.
Yeah.
Wow.
$1995.
Yeah.
And basically, it's water and jet skis. And
where did that money go?
Oh,
How
I'm
much
pretty
did
sure.
Costner get?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was rewrites and reshoots, because he and Kevin Reynolds was directing the film at first, left the project. Costner basically directed it himself. Basically, half of Costner's movies, that story is true. So I'm pretty sure the expense and the budget came from reshoots, extensive reshoots.
Well, also, wasn't this one of those movies, because water is notoriously hard to film movies on and everything, that they ran into like hurricanes and all that other type of stuff?
Was part of it.
Because I think that's what happened with like Cutthroat Island and a lot of these, real big budget bomb type movies that are set on the water.
Just build a tank, man.
Yeah, man.
It's cheaper than $175 million to build a tank.
Don't be dude who made Leisure Class and say, we got to have the real water, man. Nobody's going to know this is the Pacific Ocean unless we're on the Pacific Ocean.
I mean, even when Waterworld came out, it shouldn't have been hard to shoot that on a lake and then just digitally remove the houses and trees on the shoreline. So I don't know exactly. Costner was probably making $20 million a picture at that point as a leading man. They ran way long on shooting, so I'm sure that's part of it. Maybe Dennis Hopper was unreasonable and demanded a lot of money. I don't know.
A lot of drugs.
You watch that movie and you are not looking at $175 million. You're looking at what looks like maybe 60.
Well, Kevin Costner's urine alone would have been like $50 million, right?
It is the best movie that opens with a man drinking his own piss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I got to think about that for a little while.
Right. There's about 5 or 6 that are like rattling around my head right now.
It's like that quote in Dodgeball. It's like, is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? No, but it's sterile and I like the taste.
Yeah.
For my small budget, everybody should see this movie. I think it's on Netflix or one of those streaming services. It's Darren Aronofsky's first movie, Pi.
Yeah.
And I watched this again recently, and this will really like cook your noodle, man. Like this is good stuff. It's very bizarre. You don't know what's real and what's not real.
Mm-hmm.
The performances are great. Like, it's a really complex story. And you could tell that it was very cheap. I think it was like $68,000 that he shot this with, which is insane. But man, it's so good. And and I guess we should pay lip service to Clerks. Clerks cost $28,000 to make, and obviously, launched the career of a few people. And then the big budget Squandered, man. I'm not as big, I guess, as you guys, but like Speed Racer had a $120 million budget. And didn't come anywhere close. And that was all effects.
Yeah, it was all CG.
It was all CG.
The movie has its lovers, though.
I was about to say, I know a few people who love that movie.
I do too. I can't, and I'm as probably open to Wachowski stuff as anybody, or more so. I can't get on board with that one.
Anytime I watch even just a little bit of it, I'm like, God, no, it's not good.
No, it's not.
I don't know how these people watch it. That I would love to, but no.
And I was a Speed Racer junkie.
Were you really?
The original. Oh, hell yeah, man. Especially because right when I got to college was when it became this like nostalgic wave of like T-shirt lunchbox shops.
Yeah.
So you could buy a Speed Racer shirt that was brand new, but Speed Racer hadn't been on in like 15 years, and that kind of stuff was really pop. So I had a little figure and a lunchbox and a thermos and shirts, and loved me some Speed Racer.
Interesting.
Yeah, I watched some Speed Racer back in the day. I also watched that, what was it called? Devlin, that was the motorcycle guy.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Oh, yeah. Watched that too.
I did watch Street Hawk, the live action motorcycle version of Knight Rider with a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Devlin was the GoBots of
Speed
Racers
It
Transformers.
was. Street Hawk, we had an outtake of that, I remember. Street Hawk.
Yeah.
We did. We did the opening of Street Hawk.
It was for Batman. It was for one of the Batman movies, I think.
Oh, yeah? I don't remember which one it was.
It was somebody riding a motorcycle and busting out onto the street, which is what he always did in Street Hawk.
That opening narration, the Street Hawk.
Yeah.
I don't even remember this.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week. Keep going to SinCast presented by Cinemasins Facebook page. Keep going to SoundCloud. Keep going to Reddit. Keep going to there's a million ways to reach us.
That's right, baby.
So go and tell us how we did on this one. But that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Scher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
I know there'll probably be devastating consequences later, but I just love Amazon.
Yeah.
I told you guys, I bought my new sneakers on Amazon. If I can buy it on Amazon, I will. My wife will be like, okay, it's my sister's birthday. I'm going to send you some stuff we might be able to get her. And she has learned over the last 3 years to only send me Amazon links. Yeah. And every now and then she'll come to me and go, this is Etsy. It's probably safe to get, to use your credit card. Because I'm pretty stingy about where I use my credit card.
Yeah.
But also Prime membership with all the TV and the free 2-day delivery. And they have everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably pretty soon, like maybe before I die, they'll be selling marijuana from Amazon.
They sell houses on Amazon now.
Yeah, they sell all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah. They send you like the tiny house thing?
Yeah.
They sell like kits for tiny houses that you put together.
I got to be honest, this is not my rant topic for the day, but I am so fucking over the tiny house bullshit.
You know what's crazy about tiny houses?
Who do you think you're fooling?
Do you ever watch it?
Yes.
Okay, so what they inevitably, every time they walk into one of these places, they're like, man, this is small.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck are you looking for, man?
I know,
You're in a fucking tiny house. You're on a show called Tiny House
Here's
Hunters.
the deal. If you can't...
man, this bathroom's a little small. I don't know.
If you can't go number 2 without everyone in the house smelling it, your house is too damn small. The show, and it's also a cruel show because when families have kids, they're always like, okay, kids, here's all your stuff. Choose one item. The rest is going to Goodwill. And the kids are like, can we keep the dog? One of my neighbors was building a tiny house in his backyard. God knows why.
Are you serious?
And every time my wife and I walk around the neighborhood, we end up talking about tiny houses because he's made some sort of progress. He's got the shingles on now or what have you. Like now we speculate, what's he doing it for? Is it for a hobby? Is he going to sell it? Is he going to stick his grandma out there and keep it in the backyard? But there's nothing practical about a tiny house. You are basically making yourself and everyone in your family super uncomfortable for like what? Mental peace of mind? It's like recycling.
Too. Yeah.
Well, cheaper. Like downsizing the movie. But
yeah,
you know
exactly.
what? When you live in a tiny house, Absolute vodka still costs the same amount.
And you're still a full-size person.
Well, and I actually read this article. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I read this article about how if the technology and downsizing were real, it would actually be super expensive to live that lifestyle until there were enough people doing it that they could mass create small things.
Sure, yeah.
Because if you're the first 100 tiny people, well, tiny shirts are going to cost a shit ton because somebody's going to have to probably make that by hand. There's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was a fascinating article.
Tiny shirts.
I had never heard of this show, this tiny homes.
They're literally square footage wise, probably ultimately not much bigger than this room.
Yeah.
And they somehow work in a sink, a toilet, a couch, 3 or 4 different. It's all levels, Jerry.
Yeah, it is.
They do a bunch of different levels and like, okay, here's the top bunk. That'll be where the kids can chill and relax. And I guess the idea is you spend more time outside maybe.
Yeah.
But still, give me a fucking break.
Everything is like kind of like compartmentalized. Like we've hidden your entire closet within this tiny little chest here.
Yeah, I mean, the
and like
bed
you open it up and it's like all the
bed will be one of those come out of the wall beds that folds down so that you can fold it up and then there's a couch on the other side of it or some bullshit. But it's basically like a camper, only smaller.
How much do those go for?
Probably
that's like $3,000 or somewhere around there.
No, they're probably 15 or 20 grand.
Well, it depends on which ones, I guess.
But I mean, significantly cheaper than a house. But do you want to live that way?
No, I mean, I just wanted to know what,
especially a guy your height.
No, I would never live in one. But I was thinking like if there were some properly located and everything, it'd be nice to have like if you wanted to like it was on the beach or something. Of course, you're never going to get it beachfront on something like
beachfront property.
Right, you're never getting that. But I'm just saying that if there was a place that you wanted to go, that could be your like away place or whatever, like to hang out. But
no, that makes a certain amount of sense because my family had a trailer down in Panama City, and that was tiny. But that's a vacation house. It's not the place where you're living.
That's what I'm saying. And you're not having to give up all your shit just because you believe in minimalism? Get the fuck out of here, you pretentious bastard.
There's a tiny house
Wouldn't
community.
the dating fat women conflict with the minimalism?
Like they'll have like the toilet in the shower.
Yeah.
So you can shit and shower at the same time.
Just sitting there.
Well, at least it's efficient.
Why not?
Shit and shower.
Well, now you just invented a business, a shit and shower.
Shit and shower. That's the thing with the military.
We went to a Shark Tank with that. Would
you want to try it out?
Would Cuban like takes off his blazer? He's like, all right, let's do this.
Like we're selling this all over the country. Like, well, do you want to sell these units, or do you want to have a major manufacturer buy your stuff or whatever?
You want to license it to Lowe's?
Yeah, license it to Lowe's.
The shit and shower.
Those will be the exclusive one place where you can buy the shit and shower.
And Mr. Wonderful will be like, I've seen things like this before. There's like 3 of these on the market.
All you've done is taken a shower and a toilet and combined them. That's nothing novel here. There's no IP.
Do you have a patent?
I just want to know how I make money.
You guys have watched a lot of Shark Tank.
I've watched a shit ton of Shark Tank.
I've even watched like the fucking Canadian version, which is like the Dragon's Den or some shit.
There's a Canadian version?
Yes.
What's crazy is I don't think I've ever seen a Shark Tank, like a new episode of it. It's just always those like marathons that they play. And I'll flip over and I'm like, okay, I'm watching Shark Tank now. And then suddenly it's like 4 hours later.
There's a Canadian version of a lot of things. There's a Canadian Chopped. There's a Canadian MasterChef.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they don't want to be part of our culture.
Well,
they want to be their own thing.
It's almost like having an entirely new season of stuff to watch, right?
It is in many cases. Like I'm not a big fan of Chopped anyway. I find it a little bit gimmicky and way too much filler for what amounts to about 5 minutes of content I would care about. Unlike Top Chef, which I greatly enjoy.
Yeah. Are they more polite? Those the Canadian versions?
They say a lot. The Canadian Chopped is hosted by the dude that is or was married to Tori Spelling. I guess he's
Dean something?
I don't know. He looks like a guy that would be married to Tori Spelling. I like. Are you going to put this one up somewhere, or is it just like it's trash?
That's going to go.
It's totally trash. I'm going to put it outside on the curb and see what happens.
Now that we got the 1 mil, the 100K is out.
So like 35 years later, I'm at somebody's house. Like, yeah, this was just out there on the curb.
No, and we got the Cinemasins thing.
Oh, nice. I like that. Mounted above the door.
That's right, baby.
Excellent.
This one, because Chris had to go do something, I had to hang this by myself, and it weighs like probably 60
I've
pounds
lifted
or
it,
something like that. And so, but you got to get like the fucking the rivulets right perfectly, and I was like straddling the desk and everything, and I was like, this is a bad idea.
Yeah, I heard some swearing in here.
I think that sounds like a sitcom episode.
It was that day where it was like a convergence of like script had to be looked at, a whole bunch of other stuff had to be done, blah blah blah, and I went over and did some of that. So I'm in the other room, and suddenly I'm hearing like, shit, motherfucker.
Because I told Chris like it's like the serrated metal on the end, and every time like you try to grip it, especially if your hands are sweaty, it's slicing through your fingers. So I'm like, there's blood pouring all over it. I'm like trying to get this up, and smelled like a fucking locker room. But it looks good.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah,
let's just not rehang it again anytime soon.
No, it's staying there until the house comes down.
You see that they've dramatically reduced the size and I guess weight of the million.
That's what kills me is that every single plaque we've gotten in between Cinemasins and MVS sins are all different.
Yeah.
Every one of them are different. Like the 100,000 one for us was small. The MVS one was bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
The one that we got for $1 million was huge. The one for MVS, maybe we went a little bit overboard on that.
Yeah.